And the feeling that I'm under. Hey guys! I don't wanna make it happen. Fire all of your guns at once.
Are you making up or do you know the words to this?
I think he says fire all of your guns at once.
That's cool.
Born to be wild. We used to fly so high. Never gonna die. So we're gonna get muted.
Did Steppenwolf ever? What else have they done?
Oh my goodness! Oh, well, that was supposed to be.
Oh no!
Was...
Am I like gonna be opening myself to ridicule right out of
No,
the gate?
no, not at all.
Do they have like a string of hits?
The sort of they. So the other one you probably know is. See, look, this is where we are. This is now what it's come to.
Where's the illusion?
I know. So a magic carpet ride is the one that you don't know. We can find. Why don't you take a trip with me on a magic carpet ride? Yeah. What else by Steppenwolf? Good Day for a White Wedding is not Steppenwolf, but sure. I mean, well.
White Wedding. Right, that's the one. Yeah.
Magic. Oh gosh, darn it. So this is a pile of T-shirts. Don't watch or judge. Excuse me. We'll just. Oh man. Oh, you got a donation while I was gone. I got a donation while I was gone. While I was literally doing nothing. Oh, what's up, Honey Plays? How you doing, guys? Okay, I'll just do this real quick. This is a donation song. Donation song. Donation song. Yep. Slow Ride is Foghat, but it sounds like him. This is a donation song. This is a donation song. Donation song. Yep. 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 What have you gotten yourself into?
We should fold laundry while we're doing this podcast.
Just get something done. Right, absolutely.
Really give it that homey quality, you know?
Yeah. So if you guys will notice, we decided to like really go theme this time. Hold up. Put this back here. Hide your
Illusion!
Hide your shame.
This
said
is
Mom.
a wall.
I was always told. Please fold your laundry. So let's just like if you want to scoot in this way. Wow, you might have a shot at being in focus. No, not so much. Sorry.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, so how did you guys hear us okay? Actually, I'm going to put this over here. So we're this is all, that's real distracting. Welcome guys to the second, that is distracting, screw that. Welcome to the second episode of Filmography, which is the hottest film talk show on this channel.
That's right. On this one.
I would say.
For the next 2 hours.
Oh yeah. So usually we have this nice banner. Usually, as in the other time we did this, we have this nice banner. But a lady. I'm told it's a lady. Like slammed into a transformer. And not like Bumblebee, like smack like a thing and destroyed it.
Is she all right?
I think so.
Okay.
This is what I was told. Knocked out the power to 30 houses.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was like, man, I'd feel bad, right? Like,
if she walked away unscathed,
yeah,
I would be a little mad.
But I was like, what? Like I was like, oh man, I immediately was like, oh, I feel really bad for her because if that was me, I'd feel terrible.
Yeah.
After I sobered up.
That's a very nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, like I was like,
not how I would look at it.
Well, so that kind of had a.
She was probably doing this because have you ever noticed how at every stoplight that you're ever at in this current era, that once it goes green, there's now a 5 to 10 second lag before cars start to move forward because everyone's doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes I'm guilty of it.
No, sure.
And I'll get a little.
But you know what
and I like literally, I'll be guilt-ridden.
Yeah.
It'll ruin my day.
Oh,
I'm like, the self-loathing that'll come with it.
Oh man, that's right.
What?
Hey, dude. No, it's cool. But you know what I do? What I'm doing, I'll do that. But what I'm doing is documenting other people doing it and shaming them on Twitter and getting them fired from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Oh, that's not. That's sorry. I didn't mean to.
Do you think they'll bring him back?
I don't know.
It seems like
Probably
everybody.
Not. What's up, joystick chick? Oh.
It seems like everybody wants him to come back. But
yeah, everyone. Who doesn't want
I mean, the whole cast formally come out and say bring him back.
Here's the part where
I bet David Bautista was like, I won't do it without him. Out of allegiance to him.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want someone to come out and be like, those tweets were hilarious. I don't know what everyone's talking about. They won't bring him back.
I did read those tweets and I'm like, oof, that's...
But here's the deal, and here's where if something happens and I go and direct Guardians of the Galaxy 9, this is where I get fired because of this video right now. What's about to happen? I have a choice. right now, and I'm choosing to get fired from a Marvel movie. This is going to happen. No, I'm like, go watch a comedy. Go watch a stand-up routine.
It's interesting because I think he already had apologized for them.
Sure.
Years ago.
Yeah.
And he had grown and done a lot of self-work and had acknowledged that. And then it didn't matter anyways, you know.
Sure. And I don't
drink here, guys.
They give her the bits. They give her the bits she gave to me. Oh, that's interesting. Juan Pequeño said so Batista apparently said he wouldn't do it unless they used Gunn's script.
Oh, okay. And I think they are using his script, yeah.
Of course, because they're going to be like, well, we want you gone, but not things that you wrote.
Right.
Wait a second.
Yeah. How does that
work? Hold on.
How does that work?
Yeah, we're firing you because of the contents of your brain. No. Joystick Chick, so the concept behind this podcast, so normally, again, we have this really nice banner. Well, I'm tooting my own horn. It's a banner.
It's lovely.
Well, there you go.
It is.
See, I took a pause so that someone else would say it, and then it could still be said.
Really counting on me. I'm the only one here.
Good. Throw me a line. Isn't even bad business for himself. You mean like he's gonna get picked up and it doesn't matter? It's lovely, like the guy. Man, sister, and you're just gonna do this. It's fine. I feel like this is good. You're just gonna care. Yeah. I'm just gonna. This is good.
Makes me feel good.
That's good. Well, good. If it ever doesn't, you let me know.
I will.
Yeah. Did you see that side eye? I don't even know what side eye is. I'm too old to. Okay. So this podcast is a movie talk show. We're talking about everything. Eventually, we're gonna talk about everything.
We're gonna cover
anything and everything.
But we're starting.
Yes, even that.
We're starting with the new Hollywood movement
of
the 1970s, and we're starting with the first three that kicked it off.
Yeah. So just to recap the last 2-hour podcast. Mm-hmm. So around 1967 in the United States of America, the film Bonnie and Clyde was released, and sort of touched off sort of this sense that this was a new kind of movie. Because until then it had been the studio system. They'd been churning out gangster films, musicals, westerns.
And they were kind of on their last legs because those things were starting to grow stale in the eyes of the public.
Right.
And especially with where society was at that moment with the Vietnam War and the sexual revolution and all that stuff. And so they weren't seeing that reflected on the screen. And so business wasn't really booming for all the three major studios.
Yes, and there were other changes there was a trust busting act passed where it said they could no longer own, because the studios used to own movie theaters and put their movies exclusively in those movie theaters. TV, the rise of TV, influence from the French New Wave and foreign directors, just all sorts of things that kind of resulted in just a new kind of movie emerging. And it was something that people hadn't seen, and it was being made by young people. And the young people who were going through, who were very much at the forefront of the changes in the nation, kind of started to perk up and go, wait, this is something new. Yeah. This is something that speaks to us. And the studios, which were run by old white dudes primarily, started to kind of go, we don't know how to, like, these formulaic musicals, gangster pictures, westerns. We can no longer just throw money at these formulae and expect people to come because it's on the wane. But these new hot directors are starting to do stuff, and we don't know what's going on, but it's working. And out of this movement came directors like Coppola, Scorsese, Spielberg, Lucas, Friedkin, Peter Bogdanovich, just a bunch of people, and a lot of the movies that are, rightfully and kind of widely discussed as being the untouchable classics of all time, The Godfather, French Connection, stuff like that.
And it's interesting how this movement kind of got started with Bonnie and Clyde, because they kind of took one of the movies from that old era and then they wrapped it in some new packaging. I mean, this was like before Bonnie and Clyde, you literally couldn't show a person shooting a gun and getting hit with a bullet in the same frame. Like that's the type of like censorship that was going on at that time. And so when Bonnie and Clyde came, it was still like a gangsters type movie, which was kind of passé at that point. Yeah. But they injected it with like just a lot of like really controversial sexual themes, and they explored it was more character based,
real hot stuff like impotence.
Like impotence, and then hyper violence.
And well, so real quick. So that is kind of what the movie is, what the podcast is, whatever this is, the stream is about. We're kind of following sort of the inception of this new Hollywood movement that literally led to where we are right now, with movies, and we will show that. No, I mean whatever. But it's the beginning of the modern movie to me.
It is, yeah.
Right?
In terms of everything, in terms of how it's shot, in terms of the acting style, like everything changed with this new era. So when we ended last time, we kind of, as an assignment, we were like, the two movies we're going to watch. Depending on who you talk to, there are different movies that really kicked things off, right? But it's basically pretty much agreed that it's one of three or two of three or all three of three. I think it's all three because they all hit in different ways, and it all builds up to the final one, which really is so drastic in a stylistic choices,
and was so successful
that that really set a precedent.
Because even in this age of tumult and political upheaval and idealism, really what gets the studio's attention is what always has gotten the studio's attention, which is money. Which their businesses, that makes sense. So for last time we said we're going to watch The Graduate and Easy Rider, and if you have some time, you can toss in some Bonnie and Clyde. So just by a show of hands, just give me a 1 in chat if you were able to watch one or both or even all three of those films. Well, I think we're mostly going to talk about The Graduate and Easy Rider. Also, don't get nervous. Don't worry about it. Abby!
Boom.
Sweet. We got one.
That's one. We're going to talk right to you.
Looks legit. Boom. Oh, come on. I feel like we're at a telethon. No whammy. Were you guys able to watch both of them? All three of them? 0. All right, Coach. No problem. I wasn't here for this. Yeah, I do. That's key. Yeah. That's key. That's important. If you don't have honesty, what do you have? What movies were you supposed to watch in the past but not recently? No problem, R. Kelly. Sweet. The Graduate, directed by Mike Nichols, 1968. So in chronological order, what's up, Sir Plainview? So in chronological order, it's Bonnie and Clyde, and Bonnie and Clyde kind of came in, and again, like it was just this new thing because there had been previously. This was actually, and it's right at the tail end of this, but before the MPAA rating system, the PG, PG-13R, all that stuff, there was something called the Hays Code, and we kind of looked at it. It's actually right there. We looked at it last time, and it basically. So just right off the top, no picture shall be produced that will lower the moral standards of those who see it. Hence, the sympathy of the audience should never be thrown to the side of crime, wrongdoing, evil, or sin. And if you asked just anyone to come up with a movie where your sympathies are kind of via perspective forcibly aligned with quote-unquote sinners or criminals.
Right.
Bonnie and Clyde is going to be right there at the top.
Yeah, you weren't allowed to play in the moral gray area whatsoever, and you definitely weren't allowed to root for the bad guy.
And so the kind of the death knell, the death blow to that. It's Madeline, thank you for the follow. There were other things that kind of started eroding that sort of like strict moral. Oh, and the other thing about the Hays Code is that like, so like right now you can release a movie and the MPAA like can be like it's obscene or like we won't rate it or whatever, and it doesn't matter. You're still allowed to. The Hays Code was like if it did not approve your movie, it was banned, and you could be arrested for showing it. Yeah. So now things are different. Bonnie and Clyde is like a love story with two criminals. Absolutely. So so Bonnie and Clyde was just like the two most attractive, people they could find. I mean, sort of Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. Mm-hmm. And it follows them, very, very much sympathizes with them, kind of, and it's this whole like they were rebelling against authority. They were kind to. I mean, it was almost like a Robin Hood thing where they would like they were robbing banks, and it's a time. Is it the Depression? My gosh, I can't even.
Depression era.
Yeah, Electric Moomba. Scription. They still ban films like Australia, UK. Wow. I mean, there is legal obscenity and movies can be outlawed, but that's incredibly rare. Thank you, Electric Moomba. Thank you for those 4 months. So, guys, I think we're gonna have to kind of just appreciate stuff here. Subscription. Because otherwise, we're just not gonna get through it. But Electric Moomba, thank you for those 4 months of unbelievable support. And so anyway, Bonnie and Clyde just sort of like galvanized people, and we talked about it a little bit last time, so we're not going to get too much into it. But it
was interesting. Heads are bouncing perpetually in the tip jar. Also, hi.
Hi, how's it going?
But it was interesting how, like, you just described the movie, because you could apply that rebellious spirit of, like, the characters and how they were rebelling against the system. Like, that's what the filmmakers and what Warren Beatty specifically and what's the director, Arthur Penn, both of them were desperately trying to make something that they felt was worthwhile.
Right.
And they were both stuck doing stuff that they weren't super duper proud of, and this was their thing where they were like, we want to try to make it our own.
And I remember watching it a long time ago and kind of being like, nah. And I watched it again this time and was like, oh. And it feels very immediate and very modern, more so than I remembered.
Yeah.
And I mean, to the point, there's like shaky cam. It's like, it's like those scenes where,
which you could almost, because I remember watching it too and seeing those shaky things and just being almost kind of put off by it essentially at first. But then you think about the context in which the time of which it was made.
There's a dude with a film camera doing that.
Yeah, everything was just so glossy.
Yeah, sure.
And like everything was on tripods and steady cam or these huge crane shots and stuff. It was all very, very well put together and very beautiful. And so just by doing a handheld shot, like at that point in time, that was a rebellious thing.
I feel like absolutely. And there are these a handful of scenes where just the law pulls up and just shoots the crap out of a house that they're in, and they're just running and whatever, and it's like proto Paul Greengrass, it's like like I mean it feels very,
but it's easy. It's interesting to see how they kind of dabble with it in Bonnie and Clyde, and they dabble with it with The Graduate, and then it kind of that aesthetic fully explodes with Easy Rider.
It's true, and it is interesting, and because all three of these movies are kind of tied together by sort of this sense of rebellion or isolation or not fitting in or being outsiders, like that, and that kind of is what was resonating with people. And then again, just again, we're not going to talk too much about Bonnie and Clyde, but it was the movie that kind of kicked things off, and people were like, "What is this? This is new and this is crazy, and it feels out of control." And like again, we're pulling a lot from Easy Riders, Raging Bulls. So we do the
I want to
do the cheers.
It's cool. Clink.
Yep. Yeah. And which is kind of the sort of the land. I mean, the bedrock tome for this for this whole new Hollywood thing. It's very, it's a great read. It's a great read. So yeah, and I think from reading through that and other things, there's this idea that like, again, these sort of stodgy, entrenched. I mean, these guys were the guys who started the movie business, and now they were old. So like they were tremendous technicians and filmmakers in their own right, and
absolutely,
and creatives. They made movies like Gone with the Wind and Casablanca and Wizard of
John,
Oz,
like The Searchers and all the John Ford movies. Like there were artists that were making wonderful, beautiful movies. Like I think last time I talked a lot about Carol Reed, even though he's a British filmmaker. But like there's amazing movies made before this new Hollywood movement. But
it's just something different.
It ushered us into this era that we're still in to this day.
Yeah.
You know?
And it was more about like it also kind of started being like we can tell different kinds of stories.
And everyone can. Yeah. Like it's not just like people in this unreachable Hollywood landscape that have the power to make movies. It's like people on a relatively lower level can do the same thing and still reach a mass audience and make money at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of, I mean, I think they mentioned it several times in the book that like with these movies coming out, especially like with Bonnie and Clyde being these like just unutterably cool, like just beautiful, really awesome, kind of screen icons. I mean, like the picture of Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway on the cover of Bonnie and Clyde. I mean, it's just an indelible image.
And even people who haven't even seen the movie, they know
like that's who they look like. That's what Bonnie and Clyde look like, supposedly. You know?
Everybody knows Bonnie and Clyde, not so much as the folk hero, like real people, but because of that movie in the lexicon of popular culture.
I looked up what they really look like, and I was like,
nothing like it.
I mean, I was like, God,
Let me tell you something. When Warren Beatty is just look. That's a handsome man.
Yeah, he is. He's a handsome man.
I mean, he's just a good. Like when I read his book, also written by Peter Biskin, that details his life and his womanizing ways. I was like, yeah, I can see it. I can understand why he bedded every single woman in Hollywood.
Yeah. What did he? I kind of skipped ahead, and he was sort of. For a long time linked with Julie Christie. Yeah. And apparently like when this is it sounds like gossip and I feel weird but it's just stuff I read in this book. But like she would go out of town and he would call just every woman. Yeah. And be like, "Hey," and they were like, aren't you with Julie Christie? He's like, "Yes, and I love her, but I want to be with you." Yeah. And they would be like, they would be like, "All right." And there was a line there where he was like, "I got, you get slapped a lot, but you get fucked a lot too." So I was like, I mean, if you're Warren Beatty,
that's classic Beatty.
He's like the Will Chamberlain of Hollywood. Yeah. He kind of is. That's a really that's an apt description. And Carly Simon's "You're So Vain" supposedly is written about him.
But it's interesting to see how over the course of just 3 movies, because he is like the prototypical Hollywood leading man, like beautiful guy. Like
and I thought that's all he was. Yeah.
Yeah, and then with The Graduate, they cast a then unknown Dustin Hoffman in the lead role, and we can get into that was a decision Mike Nichols the director had to fight for.
Absolutely.
Because even in the book, he's supposed to be like a tall, athletic. Because in the movie,
a track star.
He's a track star. Yeah.
And he like even the dude like they were saying the dude who wrote the novel, it's kind of semi-autobiographical.
He didn't even
that kind of dude.
Yeah, like he didn't understand when they were like, "You're going to cast who as the lead?" Because they initially, I guess we can get into it right now. Sure. They were initially courting Robert Redford, and then when Mike Nichols came on board, he even auditioned Robert Redford, and he was like, "You are fantastic, and you're perfect for this role." Yeah. But there is no way anyone in the audience is going to believe that you have trouble with women in any way, shape, or form. And he's just like, and that's it. And that's all there is to it. Like, it wasn't anything against his acting abilities. He was just like, you're too good looking of a guy.
Yeah. And the line was that like Mike Nichols was like, and he'd worked with, because Mike Nichols sort of be a track star marathon. Yeah, I was thinking of that as I was watching it, and I was like, he's a runner, I guess. People think of him that. Right, I guess he got Marathon Man because of The Graduate. I don't know. But
by the way, Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate, I watched it again last night, and
He's amazing.
Just a delight.
He is.
That movie.
He's. I don't know. Like, holy white Trial. Thank you for the follow. People go like, every once in a while you get to question who's your favorite actor, or like, what are you doing in my house? These are just questions that I get. But like, and I don't really usually have an answer. I'm like, oh, Sam Rockwell. And I'm like, it's Dustin Hoffman. It's Dustin Hoffman. He's amazing.
So
he's
is he your favorite actor?
I don't know, but he's one of them.
Because mine's
Philip
Seymour Hoffman,
yeah,
and then right after that it's Gene Hackman. Those are my top two. And then everybody else is kind of, but Dustin Hoffman's up there for sure.
And Gene Hackman, who's in
he's in Bonnie and Clyde.
Who's in Bonnie and Clyde, and then was on The Graduate and got fired. He was supposed to play.
Oh, he was supposed to play the dad,
but he was too young.
Yeah,
they were like, he's playing. You're playing.
And then they got the guy from Jaws who plays the mayor.
I was like, and
I looked him up, and I was like, I love that guy.
I was like, why? I was like, yeah,
I love that guy.
I was like, why is he so familiar? Why is he so familiar? And I was like, Jaws. Who is he in Jaws? And then I looked at it and I go, oh my gosh, man. He's the mayor.
You just need to imagine him in that anchor sport coat that he's always wearing.
You yell Barracuda. People go, huh? What? You yell shark. We got a panic in our hands. On the 4th of July. Benjamin.
What else has he been in? And what's his name? Murray something? Murray or Murray something? I can't remember.
Dang it. Yeah.
He is, I looked him up as I was watching it because I was like, oh, it's the guy from Jaws. And he is just, in both those movies, he is so fantastic.
He's great.
And yet, I feel like I can't remember him in anything else.
Here's the one that got me. Sorry. So in Bonnie and Clyde, I don't know if you I don't know. So
I didn't get to revisit it, but I mean I've seen it a bunch of times.
So like Estelle Parsons, who's the only person who won an Academy Award for that film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she's Gene Hackman's wife.
Yeah.
The real shrill one.
Yeah.
I was like, where have I seen her? I know her, and I feel like where I've seen her, she plays sort of a kind of unhinged whatever. And I was looking through her IMDb, and the show Roseanne she's Roseanne's mom, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. Pacino. So De Niro is amazing. But it might be Pacino, young Pacino for me. Young Pacino.
Pacino up till, honestly, it's kind of interesting.
I mean, I think he can still maybe do it.
He can do it when he's on HBO, usually.
Really?
Well,
As Bernie Madoff? Did you see that?
I didn't see that one, but he's done a bunch of one-off HBO movies.
Was he Joe Paterno?
Yes, he was Joe Paterno.
What is he doing?
He was the guy who assisted in all the suicides. What's his name?
Kevorkian? Jack Kevorkian?
I think.
Yeah. He played Jack Kevorkian, Joe Paterno, and Bernie Madoff. He's just like.
And he's great.
Who else had a scandal?
Yeah.
Maybe Joey Buttafuoco.
And he was in Angels in America, which was really great. Yeah. And that's by Mike Nichols. Yeah.
Also, here's something. Mike Nichols, who was when I was like, we're gonna organize this, so we're gonna. This is whatever. Mike Nichols.
We can return.
Yeah. Okay. Mike Nichols, who was tapped to. She's fantastic, even on that show. Who? Oh, that's her and Roseanne. She is amazing on that show. There's so many people who are amazing on that show. Gosh, Laurie Metcalf. I was so happy when. Anyway,
I don't know if this is a sin, but Roseanne went right past me. I've never even seen a single episode.
Oh, that's okay.
If
you watched it and were just like, I don't get it.
I think I would probably enjoy it, but it just went. I was never a part of my.
Yeah, it was gonna. I'd have to take a step back and be like, okay.
Yeah.
If you were like, I watched it and I hate it.
Oh,
but
is it near and dear to you?
I mean, I think so. It was just something that was always on.
Yeah.
But it just is a thing.
I like
the
idea of it, like the working class show. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like The Simpsons but live action. Except that's Married with Children.
Yeah.
Hoorah!
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway. So Mike Nichols, who was selected to direct The Graduate because he had directed Robert Redford in Barefoot in the Park on Broadway, came to The Graduate, and Mike Nichols was previously of the wonderful comedy duo Mike Nichols and May. He and Elaine May had a kind of like a stand-up thing, and they're very funny, and their Broadway special was directed by Arthur Penn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So at the end, they just get gunned down for 20 minutes.
It's so weird how,
I know
how small, like especially.
It's like a sort of like an orbit of like 30 people.
Well, it's kind of like how in Austin, like everybody knows everybody, but then in terms of like that era, it's that Austin type scene, but everybody is a legendary filmmaker or actor,
and they're a legendary filmmaker or actor because of this period.
Yeah, because like you'll hear weird stories to be like. What's the guy that wrote Chinatown? Robert Towne.
Yeah.
He's like, Robert Towne was sitting on the couch during this like legendary moment of where this movie got agreed to be made, and he was just sitting in the back smoking weed or something like stupid.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
But let's dive into The Graduate now that we're talking about Mike Nichols.
I'm gonna bring up my notes.
Oh, cool.
I made some notes just so I remember. My stomach.
I'll say up front right now. This is only the second time I've made it all the way through. I watched it all the way through when I was like 13, 14, when I was going through all the classics because I thought that's what I had to do to become a filmmaker, was watch all the movies. Yeah. And of course it just went right over my head. Yeah. So I didn't really appreciate it. Then I tried to watch it 2 more times as I got older, and each time when it switches over, like halfway through the movie, it kind of shifts gears and goes to Berkeley College, Berkeley State College or something, and I lost interest both times, and then I watched it again last night, knowing we were going to talk about it today. Yeah, and I gotta say, I think the first half of the movie is brilliant. Yeah, and then it goes to Berkeley, and
so you think it's Ishtar?
And but see, here's the thing.
You think Ishtar's better than The Graduate?
No. Don't try to Hold on. That up.
All right, so you guys, we've got the quote.
They'll never trust me again.
Yeah, no.
It's just interesting because, like, it switches gears where, like, the first half of The Graduate just feels very tight in terms of its writing and what it's analyzing and stuff. And then it switches over to Berkeley and this whole other storyline, essentially. And it turns into a very different feeling movie. And
see, that's interesting. That's interesting that you feel that way.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, guys, if you watch The Graduate, let's get some reactions. What did you think? Had you seen it before? Was it what you expected? What do you think? Also, by the way, Ishtar, directed by Elaine May, the other half of the Mike Nichols.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. And written by Elaine May, and then also starring Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty. Yeah. So it's just everyone's having sex with each other. The Graduate is hard to get through when you have ADHD. Sure, I think probably a lot of movies.
I would
of
say
the
that
early '60s period and the late '60s, even the mid.
I would almost say that more about
70s
Easy Rider than I would. Like, I was actually kind of surprised at how modern The Graduate felt in terms of its format and its editing and its cinematography and just how everything pieced together and how the whole flow of the film was. It's mise en scène.
It's mise en scène.
Like it.
The mise en scène. You really preach the mise en scène. Well, mise en scène. Excuse me. What we're saying right now, guys.
It felt like it was up to task of like any modern movie that I would respect.
That's how you spell mise en scène, if you're curious. It just means French for all this shit on the screen. Yeah. Basically. Hey, Scorp, welcome back. Right now, if you're just entering, welcome to the studio. Feel free to pop in your comments about The Graduate. You know, weird about it, Elaine didn't seem as mad at Ben as you think, considering she thought he. So that's such a weird moment.
Oh, it's beyond weird. That's one of the major reasons I have issues with the second half of the film.
Yeah.
Again,
kind of the way that plays out is like...
It's weird, man. And it makes me not like Dustin Hoffman's character at all. Even though I understand...
You mean the way he handles it, essentially?
The way he handles it.
Sure.
And like how... But I mean, I guess that is the point. Because, I mean, again, by the end, that ending with them on the bus is... so profound. Like, it's great. It's great. It's really great. And that's the point, kind of. Of like, it's just youth and youthful idealism, and then the moment he gets what he thinks he wants, he realizes he might have made a mistake.
Same for her.
And same for her, yeah.
The dude straight up stock. Yeah, so there's an like we were talking about this a little bit right before we came up, and there is sort of an alternate reading of The Graduate that has emerged. So if you guys have not, if you guys aren't familiar with The Graduate, basically, gosh, I want to just pop the trailer into the thing.
Can we do that?
We can. Yeah, let's watch it. Let's watch it. I saw the word graduate and I said, let's watch it. I'm gonna cheat and do the re-release trailer because it's a little
more modern.
Yeah, a little more modern. And this is Studio Canal on it. Let's see if we can get this crap to work because it has not been working. Let's see here. Hold on. I'm gonna do this. This is how you run a TV studio on your own, guys. This is not how you do that. The score is yeah, as long as you don't mind one band. There was one band doing the score.
And that was interesting because that was completely new.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's one of the major contributions The Graduate and Easy Rider kind of brought to this era and to movies in general is that
sure, go ahead. Yeah, go
well,
ahead.
just before those two movies, both those movies, pop songs were never, like, I think it was kind of forbidden, like, at least on an unspoken level. It just wasn't done. Like, nobody put music like that into feature films.
Yeah. Which, like, you know, it works really well with The Graduate and Easy Rider. And then also, I'm also like, screw you guys, because you ruined it. No, because it would just be nice to, I just like scores, you know? I mean, that's not true. That's crap, though. I mean,
you're saying you don't like The Graduate score?
No, I know it's very score. Well. You know what? I'm not saying that, but I do kind of. There is something that I don't know. I have some thoughts about it that I'd like to share. As long as I feel like I'm doing like a home improvement project. This is so freaking. All right, here we go. This is the newer trailer for the re-release of The Graduate.
May I ask you a question?
Ms. Robinson Doe, indeed.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to...
And Bancroft. Married to Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Which makes her like way cool.
You know she was only 36?
What is it, Ben?
Yeah, 6 years older than this guy.
Future.
She was so good at it.
It's amazing.
Oh no, Mrs. Robinson. I think you're the most attractive of all my parents' friends.
It is so, when
Maybe we could do something else together.
Yeah.
Mrs.
When
Robinson,
they,
would you
well,
like to go
we'll
to
get
a
into
movie?
it, but when he slams the door and it's just like,
Yes.
That
That look. Oh, so
Oh,
great.
so
Hello,
good.
Benjamin.
It's amazing.
Mrs. Robinson.
Hey, Ben, Elaine's coming down from Berkeley soon. I want you to call her up there.
The one thing that's kind of inexcusable about this trailer is that it uses different music.
Yeah, that is
Come on,
weird.
man, you can't.
I like that they're doing pull quotes too, like they're trying to sell us on this movie. I'm like, guys,
Peter Travers really likes The Graduate.
it's a zany good time.
Dread Central love.
This just graduated to the pantheon of great
God.
movies. What is this music?
I don't know.
Pulling away from you,
We're also- I'm just-
I just don't believe you would do that.
Try me.
Oh.
That older woman that I told you about?
Benjamin, will you just tell me what this is all about?
Oh, what a moment. Catherine Ross, man. She's the Stepford Wives. She's the the cover of the Stepford Wives.
Yeah.
She's the face.
She
the
was great.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
She's in All the President's Men briefly.
Oh,
What the nuts is going on here? Okay, we're gonna just close this up. 2000s pop. Yeah, I know. It's just like you're
That was
beautiful.
weird. Yeah, that was
Beautiful. It's true. Or no, I was trying to think of the other one. What's the other thing? What's the one that was the?
Coldplay or?
No, what am I thinking of? It's not worth it. I heard.
Oh,
it
I know.
today.
I know.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do know.
Now I'm just somebody that you used to know.
Somebody. Oh, the guy who just had that one song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody knows.
How does that
we
song
don't know
go?
his name because he only had one song.
Oh man. Yeah, so that's what The Graduate is about, which, us talking over the trailer. That's what The Graduate is about. So Benjamin Braddock is a recent college graduate, track star, kind of all-star. Just he did college right. He did everything right.
An overachiever.
Overachiever. He comes back home. Everyone's like, hooray, Benjamin, to his wealthy family. And they're like,
what are you doing next, man?
Yeah.
What's up with your future? Where are you going?
They have a bill. Got ya. It is got ya.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What's the Ed Sheeran one? I'm in love with your body.
Oh,
something
God.
to taste something in you.
I don't know. I don't know modern
last night
music.
you were in my room. I don't know it either. Yeah. Featuring Kimbra. You're making these words up. That's a character from The Lion King. That's his cousin. So he comes home and they have this big party for him, and at the party, I mean, this movie gets going.
Like out of the gate, yeah.
It hits the ground running and goes like, "We're here already." Wow.
One of Benjamin Braddock's parents' friends,
featuring Kimber Lobro. Wow.
Mrs. Robinson.
Okay.
She asks Benjamin to drive her home. Yeah. And so he does after some poking and prodding, and and when they get to the house, she's like, I'm afraid of the dark or whatever, and she basically coaxes him inside. Yeah,
there you go, Abby.
And kind of basically tries to get him drunk,
yep.
And then tries to be like, hey, what do you think about this?
And my gosh, the writing and the performances in that entire, I mean, The Graduate, like someone was asking, there was a kind of a conversation in Discord about like, they were like, man, that scene at the end with the cross where he's swinging it, they're like, it's funny, and it's weird. It almost made me, like, I almost felt like I was supposed to laugh. I'm like, you are supposed to laugh. Like,
yeah,
the entire thing is uncomfortable comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, so I finished watching The Graduate, well, hold on, I'll say
know what it reminded me of, like, in terms of, like, a modern context? It reminded me of, like, a slow build of kind of like I Heart Huckabees was, where it starts where it's unique but off kilter,
yeah,
and then it builds and builds, and then it builds into this absurd, like when he's swinging that cross in the church at the end to keep everybody out. It is an absurd, like over the top moment, but that is the point. Yeah.
So Scorp, good call. That was he was a tough sell. He was a tough sell for the studio. Right? Like, that was kind of the thing. And Dustin Hoffman himself, like, I was reading an article, he just was like, the entire time he was like, I'm going to get fired. I'm not right for this role.
Because he thought, he was like, I would never get these women.
Yeah.
He said that.
He was like never get Catherine Ross, why is she whatever?
Yeah.
And Mike Nichols was like, and the line from the, because they wanted Robert Redford. And Robert Redford will be a recurring theme in like, we want this guy, but it ended up being this guy and now he is an iconic actor and then he's an iconic performance. But so like Mike Nichols who just directed Robert Redford, and by the time he was actually confirmed as director of the Graduate, I think he might have directed Robert Redford again in another. He directed several Broadway hits.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe it was just Barefoot in the Park though. But he sat down with Robert Redford and had the conversation that you're talking about, and he was like, the quote is that he was like, you're great, but you can't play this part because no one will believe you're a loser. And he's like, I can play a loser. And he's like, have you ever struck out with a girl?
Yeah.
And he was like, and the quote from Mike Nichols is like, he said, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And he was serious.
Yeah.
It was like,
he
no,
couldn't
man.
even comprehend the idea of it.
Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the bits that you did to me. And there were lines where, so like Dustin Hoffman, I was reading this article and he was talking about feeling like uncomfortable, and he was like, I want to dig it up because it's the kind of thing that I don't want to misquote. Hold on. For a number of reasons, but hold on. But he was uncomfortable. He was like, I'm not this person. He saw, he read the book, read the script, was like, yeah, this is great, but this is not, you don't want me. I'm not right for this. And he was like, I know where I belong. Basically, and he's talking about the fact that he is Jewish, the fact that he looks like there's a line, there's a great.
And in the reviews for the film when it came out, like a lot of the criticism was because of that very thing. Like,
oh really? I didn't.
Like Hoffman himself, he was like, there's a lot of anti-Semitism that was in a lot of the negative reviews. Yeah.
Good job, America.
Like a lot of people pointing out his nose and pointing out, things like that.
He says, so his lines, or his quote, "I'm immediately feeling miserable," Hoffman remembered. "I just have bad feelings about the whole thing. This is not the part for me. I'm not supposed to be in movies. I'm supposed to be where I belong. An ethnic actor is supposed to be in ethnic New York in an ethnic off-Broadway show. I know my place." He's saying, "I know my place."
Wow,
isn't that insane?
So interesting
that he'd internalized it to that.
He was going to be a Hollywood type guy.
I know, and he's one of the greatest actors and movie stars of all time.
What's crazy about this is how confident that performance
is. Yeah,
from moment one.
Absolutely, it's his first.
It's his first starring role.
First film, I think.
It is shocking how good he is in that. Like,
yeah, and it's unbelievable. And I can't.
And that little
yes, which I didn't even remember.
Oh,
and they said that they were talking. Now they had a lengthy rehearsal process too, which is interesting.
Oh, that's great.
There's a quote. This is a great article. Catherine Ross was like, "Yeah, we could have taken it on the road as a stage show. We knew it so well."
Yeah.
And but there's a little Buck Henry was like, there's a line in here where he was saying that he got that from Mike Nichols, like that Mike Nichols makes those little
really.
And I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah, isn't that just so? It's so telling, and that's why it was so important, because The Graduate, like Dustin Hoffman himself, was reflecting these feelings because they were what he had experienced.
Yeah,
like he was like, I know I'm not a movie star. I'm a theater actor. I can do that, and there's nothing obviously wrong with that. But he was just like, I'm not this person, and because he was talking to Mike Nichols about it, and he was like, he's this guy. No, he goes like, he's a Gentile. He's not a Jew, and Mike Nichols goes, maybe he's Jewish inside. And that Mike Nichols, there's this thing where Mike Nichols was an immigrant as well, and of Jewish descent, and he kind of saw himself in the. I mean, it's just this really fascinating thing that really underlines, like, this is why The Graduate was important. Like the subtitle on this article is, "It changed the face of movies," literally.
Yeah.
And it did, because it changed the face of movies. It changed
wasn't about leading looks anymore.
Who could play?
You could be a character actor and still lead a movie.
And not having Tootsie exactly one bikini. I love
changed
Tootsie.
the depth of the film, because
absolutely
the way that Anne Bancroft, the way she looks at him, because he's Dustin Hoffman and not Robert Redford,
and he's short, and
it's more like she thinks he's like, oh, look at this little cute plaything type thing at first, you know. Where she's just wants to get her rocks off, but she's like, this is so. It seemed to me that it was like, this is somebody I can manipulate into getting what I want very quickly, as opposed to, what a hot piece, I'll try to sleep with him.
Yeah, and also, so again in this article, Dick Silbert, who's the production designer, who's like one of the greats, they were talking about how they wanted her to. They were like, okay, so she's essentially but she's a predator. She's very predatory toward him. She brings him into her lair, essentially.
Yes.
And it is piece by piece, and it's so wonderfully excruciating.
Yes.
Because you just see it happening, and when you know what's going to happen, you're just like, yeah, man, she's just doing it, and she's just so casual about it that it's the sort of thing where, and this happens in real life, where people are asking you to do something ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
But they act like it's
the most normal thing in the world.
And they say it in a way that you go like, I feel weird, but I must be wrong because they're acting like it's ridiculous for me to feel like.
And in hindsight, you're like, oh, that's what manipulation feels like.
Exactly. The movie is freaking 51 years old. Yes.
Yeah,
and so they were talking about the production design, and they if you go back and look at, I'll just do it. If you look at the, they're talking about how they wanted her room, and I love stuff like this, to be like a jungle theme, and she wears leopard print. She wears, and it's just because she's a predator. And I'm just like, that's so great. I love stuff like that, and I don't even notice it, and then I think about it, and it's great.
And it really is interesting to think about, because, I was telling you before we came on here how I ended up not liking Dustin Hoffman's character by the end of the movie. Like, I found, just based on how he treats everyone in the second half of the film, all that goodwill he kind of built, that awkward goodwill he built up in the first half, kind of evaporated for me. But if you think about it in context and you remove gender from the conversation,
absolutely, yeah,
it's just an interesting, there's a juxtaposition there where I feel like I felt the way I felt about him because he was a man doing it to her daughter. Whereas I didn't really. It was more cute and funny to me because it was a woman doing it.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Sure. Well, that's interesting, Scorp. I'd like to hear. But real quick, I mean, just look at her room. I don't think well.
That's so interesting.
Like you can see because it highlights the title. See, it says YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can't see my cursor, but here it says like there's back there. Well, hold on. How do we do this? We can do this. Maybe can we do this? We'll be in front of it. Is this gonna work? Come on. Oh yeah, pieces of. Cannot all technology be against me today?
Mondo released a graduate poster, I think, last year, and it's a wonderful poster of him sitting at the bar with a drink in his hand, and there's an actual cougar on.
Ah, that's amazing. Yeah, right.
And like jungle stuff, like
I forgot about
bleeding out around him. I think they used it for the Vanity Fair article.
Like you see right here, this top left picture. I mean, there literally is a jungle behind her, and there's leopard print right there, and there's
that's so yeah.
I mean, like look at this, and you don't even notice it, but it contributes. I mean, this is what just amazing, detailed, beautiful. Like when everyone on your crew is the most talented person at that job,
towards that ultimate goal. Because what's so funny is like, that should seem so obvious.
Yeah, but
it's not, and I didn't even pick up on that.
And that's it. But that's art, right? It's like you do this thing very purposefully, and then you hide your tracks.
That's very
and they do it so well.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
And there's this interesting though, like there's this interesting like I was saying like, and I think even Roger Ebert like re-reviewed it years later.
Oh, really?
And said he watched it a whole different way, an entirely different way.
In what sense?
In the sense that the protagonist, the person whose sympathy goes toward the most complex character is Mrs. Robinson.
Yeah.
And Dustin Hoffman is this sort of selfish, opportunistic kind of. I mean, she does like. And
like when I say that I don't like Dustin Hoffman, it's not. Right. I feel like that is honestly the intent of the movie because it takes. What's interesting is it's an analyzation of youth and the awkwardness and the naivete of youth in the first half, and then he flips it in the second half and how stuff is done to him in the first half, and then he does stuff to other people in the second half.
Sure.
Both born out of ignorance due to youth.
Yeah.
And it's all, and it kind of is just, it all gets summed up with that final shot where he goes to such great lengths to get Mrs. Robinson's daughter, who he ends up going on a date with and falling in love with.
Right.
And then she finds out about the affair, and it all goes to shit, but then he pursues her even more at Berkeley College, and that's why he goes to Berkeley College in the second half of the film. And by the end, he ends up ultimately breaking up this girl's wedding so she will go with him. Yeah. She runs out, they jump on a bus, and they're sitting on the bus in the final shot, all happy, and then their smiles slowly start to fade as they realize that they might have made a massive mistake.
We're gonna
and that's how it ends, and it's just fantastic, and it's a really interesting. Just the whole thing is a really interesting view on how silly youth can be, and yet how dangerous it can be at the same time.
And I think so. The two things, right? So it was like very, very important in terms of Elaine.
Yeah,
Elaine. I mean, like, and I think I
love the way she says Ben, because she screams. She's like,
yeah, it's like we were talking about that too, because like one of the things that I'm like, too bad. Is that last scene because it's such a climax and it's such a whatever and he's I mean it's one of the most it's I mean it's got to be one of the most like 3, 4, 5 most famous endings of any film.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, and he runs. If you haven't seen The Graduate, well, then I'm going to ruin it for you. But if you haven't seen Wayne's World 2, they also do that there. They parody it there. You've probably seen it parodied. He goes to break up the wedding because she's not interested in him anymore because
she's dating someone else. They're planning on getting married, and then they do.
She's like, I don't want to have anything to do with you. You slept with my mother. It's such a weird thing where she's like, I can't believe you. Like at first it's weird exposition. in a way.
So
Where it's like, I can't believe you raped my mother, and he's like, whoa,
he's like,
raped
that's not
her.
what
That's
happened.
not what happened.
And apparently that's the cover story she used
Right.
to like do some damage control.
And the thing, so that part is like whatever, but I think that whole thing, I get that it's handled weirdly, and it's weird that she makes the turnaround like quickly or whatever. But I feel like she has the sense that
she
her
knows.
mom is not telling the truth.
Yes.
Like she kind of, like it's almost like she's like, I'm going to run this, but I don't think this is true. You know what I mean? It's like this thing. Yeah,
I think she knows, but also I don't think the movie explores that enough to where it fully justifies it.
Well, because they don't even.
And I think one of my main, and this is more of just a personal preference. I enjoy what Anne
Bancroft.
Yeah, what she's doing as Mrs. Robinson in that entire arc so much that when they shift to who's the actress who plays the daughter?
Catherine Ross or
yeah. She's wonderful.
Yeah,
but it's such a less interesting character to me.
Well, and it's true. Like, I want a movie about Mrs. Robinson, starring Anne Bancroft at that time.
And it was weird when she like shows up. Great. She shows back up later in the film after not seeing her for another like 30, 45 minutes, and then she's at the wedding. But she's almost like she's become a supporting character in her own movie. Yeah, and it's weird. It's just weird.
It is weird, and it's interesting. And it's a. Gosh, she's great. She's so great.
She's so good at it.
She's so great. Like Happily Married, but what a knockout. My gosh.
Yeah. I was like, I get it. I understand why became and like she even admitted she was like this she was never like fully resentful, but she fully admitted she was like, this role completely overshadowed my entire career. And she had a wonderful career, but she was like, I'm only known for this, and it's whatever.
But it's so interesting that and again, I was reading that article. Like before this, what she was known for mainly was, and I don't know if the movie came after this, but on Broadway she played the Miracle Worker. She's right.
She got a Tony for that.
Right, and she who plays the Miracle Worker is about the nurse. What's her name? Anne something, who like, helped Helen Keller learn how to communicate, to express herself, and it's this very incredibly touching story about this, true story about this real woman who is incredibly caring but very whatever, and they were like, you can't take Mrs. Robinson, you can't go from playing this to this, and she was like, and Mel Brooks was like, do it, oh, okay, and she did, but she's incredible. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I think I put my finger on it. Throughout the movie, Ben is told what to do by everyone else, right? His path throughout the story is kind of manipulated by everyone around him, so why stick with Elaine at the end of the movie? Like, wasn't that her dad's idea too? Is there any reason they fall in love with each other other than them being told to do so? That's actually really interesting. Sense. But it kind of just adds another layer to it where it's like, oh, they think that they want this thing, but it's what everyone, and they're trying to rebel, it's this whole idea that like they look at their parents mockingly, like they're these clueless, people. That's interesting, and yet they're falling right into what they want,
absolutely,
and still doing it in an incredibly incalculated, stupid way. And it's funny when he decides to go to Berkeley, and it's like, I'm going to go marry Elaine.
Yeah,
and they're all excited.
They go, great, I'm going to call. And he goes, that's not a good idea.
Because she doesn't know.
Yeah, she doesn't know. They go, well, what do you mean? You haven't, when did you talk about it? He's like, we haven't. She kind of hates me right now.
It's
great. Gosh, the writing.
And then he just walks out.
The writing in that movie is so great. Please watch The Graduate. Please watch it. If you haven't watched it, watch it.
There's a scene in the hotel when he is going to have his first night of his affair, and he's going to go see Mrs. Robinson at the hotel. There's a scene with the hotel clerk that in terms of just the back and forth interplay between the two of them, it makes sense that you told me. And
that's Buck Henry.
Is it?
It's Buck Henry who wrote the script.
I thought I was like, I wonder if that's Mike Nichols, but that's Buck Henry, huh? So that's really interesting because it was just, you could see that was so sharp. And it was so damn, and when he walks around, he walks around the booth, and he's walking towards like the party that he's fake saying he's there for, and he kind of doesn't want to admit that he's there to get a room. Just very over. He's just like,
it's fantastic, and it's also something that I don't know that I've ever seen portrayed in film, like quite
In
so
terms
well.
of-
In terms of like, and especially in that kind of extended way, the thing where you're like going to do something, but you're embarrassed about what you're going to do, and there's a clerk or someone who's there in service to you supposedly. But you just don't want that, and you just go completely out of your way and pretend like you're doing something else, and then come back and go, should I?
The overcompensation when he comes back and he's like, "Hey, got my toothbrush."
Yeah,
got
exactly.
my toothbrush, and he's like, "What?"
And the thing is,
What?
Yeah. He goes, "Oh, good." And I mean, Dustin Hoffman. No one can play it as well as Dustin Hoffman, or like Dustin Hoffman, because in the hands of an actor taking it less seriously, or a different actor,
it wouldn't matter.
It becomes jokey.
It wouldn't matter how
and
good
it's because
Robert Redford did that. It would have just played completely differently.
Really differently, not necessarily. That I think, like, and Robert Redford can do the little. He can kind of do the make fun of himself
yes,
thing
he can.
Reasonably well, but there are just other things that just don't. Dustin Hoffman in that movie is so great. He's so great.
It's just crazy that it's
the cinematography is top notch. It's
so let's
amazing.
Let's talk about the cinematography, because this was a major thing that I wanted to discuss, and I wanted to. I feel like we need to discuss it and talk about.
I'm going to bring up that
Easy
montage.
Rider as in contrast as well, because these are the two movies that kind of exploded the new Hollywood movement, and they're totally different.
They are in
how they present stuff. There is an intense formalism to The Graduate, yet it's still incredibly forward thinking in terms of its camera movements and its editing.
Yes,
like the way, like there's a shot where he jumps out of the pool and he jumps right onto Miss Robinson, and I was just like, fuck, that's great.
It is great, and it's so like I watched, and there like even before that, because I was like The Graduate pool, and it was a Graduate pool montage. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
But to the point, especially in the early goings of the movie, there are shots that are so specifically composed.
Yes.
Constantly. I mean, the famous one is the leg and him under it.
Which is only like on screen for like 2 seconds. What's great is like
Mrs.
it
Robinson,
opens on him in the airplane. It's a tight close-up. It uses zooms.
And zooms out. You zoom in, you think you're in one place. You zoom out, you're in a different place.
And he zooms out on his face, and he's just in a litany of other people surrounding him, and he's just a faceless dude. He's looks anxiety-ridden, and then you pull out, and you lose that because he's just lost in a sea of people, and that's shot one.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man. Yeah. Like, from the get-go, they use it in very specific ways to get across very specific, not just story plot points, but themes, like real themes.
Absolutely.
Without being distracting.
And to me, well, and there's some other things. Gosh, I want to talk about all this. And there are other things that I want to kind of bring up on screen and maybe show that sort of. But like to me, it's about isolation. To me, it's about his feeling detached, isolated, not sure what to do in this world. He's done everything he's supposed to do. Now what? Now it's the real world, but he doesn't feel connected to any of it, least of all his parents, least of all the adults around him. And I think that is what young people were attracted to and what they responded to. And it like there were okay, cool. Thanks. I think we're going to enter. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I feel like this will be a great way to get over to Easy Rider, but keep going.
But it's interesting. Well, what you're saying is interesting because I felt like the cinematography in Easy Rider had some, in some ways, reminded me a little bit of The Graduate. Not. Well,
that's good. I mean, I'm not saying that,
but but like
I think the cinematography in Easy Rider is gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
But it is a much more documentarian approach. Sometimes literally.
Yes. Well, that's definitely
like with the Mardi Gras stuff and everything. But it is. It's gorgeous, but for a completely opposite reason. It has a real slapdash, like stitched together, scenes are stapled together almost type feeling, and it feels low budget, but in like a real, it works. It makes that work for it. Yeah. Whereas The Graduate seems highly polished.
Absolutely, they storyboarded the shit
out of the shit. I mean, my gosh, when they finally get up to the room in the hotel room, and he's really nervous about having sex with her for the first time, and she kind of is like, well, maybe I should just go. Maybe you're not, maybe you're inept and you can't handle this.
Oh, that shot!
And she uses reverse psychology on him, and he gets really offended, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna show you.
Yeah.
And he runs over to the bathroom where there's a light on, and he turns around, and it's just his face is completely silhouetted. And I don't even know if he says any. I think he says one line, but you can't see his face. And it's just like he's gone to the dark side because he's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to commit this act of adultery. And then he slams the door and it cuts to black. And that's how you know that they did it.
But there's a frame. The frame of her face, or there's 3 frames of her face. He slams the door and she's in the room and it just goes. The look on her face, right as it smashes, right as it just goes, you go, and it's just the slightest curl, and you go, oh, Mrs. Robinson,
she's so great,
cuckoo ka-choo, you got it, you got what you wanted. We're gonna watch two things, but here's the thing, like early on, there were so many impeccably, just like almost distractingly so, to the point where I'm like, okay, you really, really planned that shot out to do this and to do that and to do what it's doing. And a lot of times it is to, it's so thematic. A lot of times it's to reinforce his isolation. There's the whole thing where he's literally inside the scuba mask and he's like walled off from the world, and he's walking and like this, and
his parents go like this.
Yeah, and they're just chattering at him. He goes underwater, which I watched this movie, and of course the pool scene reminds me of Bill Murray and Rushmore.
Yes, absolutely.
But there's so many things in this movie that I go, Wes Anderson is a gigantic fan of The Graduate.
Oh,
he has to be.
There's no question.
The precision, and then there are just things about it, just everything about it. I mean,
watching I thought about that so many times.
It is such a.
I was just like, it's so obvious in almost
in a great way.
I was like, oh, his formalism in his cinematography, his use of production design,
his stone-faced, awkward protagonist.
Everything.
It's so. Oh, Rushmore's the greatest. Most perfect film that ever existed, or one of 3, according to me. Anyway, but and then there's just these things where he's laying on the pool, and his dad, Mr. Feeney, from Boy Meets World. Right. So his dad is Mr. Feeney.
His dad's only in real life age was only 10 years older than him.
Right, and Mr.
He was 49, or
that's pretty
39.
Crazy. He was 39.
39.
Oh my gosh! Did they gray him up?
Dustin Hoffman was supposed to be playing a 20-year-old. He was 29 when he made the movie.
So it's interesting because Mr. Feeney is his dad. Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World is his dad. He sleeps with the mayor from Jaws' wife, and then his landlord is Mr. Roper, who is the famous from Three's Company.
That's what
he's the
I was like.
He's
where
the
is
from
he
Three's
from?
Company.
I was like, who is he? I know him. And that's who it is.
Yeah, it's just so weird.
That's great.
Because his landlord is maybe the most famous landlord in television history.
That's so funny.
And his dad is a very fatherly teacher, Mr. Matthews, Benjamin. So he's like Benjamin. You should really think. And if you go back and think about what they're doing visually to tell you that Ben is isolated. I mean, it's stuff like these things where like the opening shot, he's sitting against not the opening shot, but he's sitting against the aquarium, and his parents come to talk to him, and it's still in his face, and they just they block the camera.
Yeah.
And they're not in focus, and we're not even seeing him.
Yeah.
And they bend down, and like his dad sits down and talks, and it's like blurry, but obscuring the frame, and you're just like, get out of the way. And also he's so disconnected. It's focusing on him, and this is just happening, even though they're the people talking.
Yeah.
And the amount of, I feel like the amount of, and of course it's practical because they're outside, but the amount of, the percentage of the adults in his life in these scenes that wear giant sunglasses that block their eyes off from him. Like he can't connect with them. We can't connect with them. And we're like looking up at them. We are constantly being told that these people are just like the wonk, 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 like the Charlie Brown. And he's like Benjamin, and he looks up and his dad is in front of the sun. And you can it's like he's backlit, and it's like hard to see him, but then he moves and the sun just like blows out, and you're like, I can't see.
Which again, and that's another thing
it's
that
irritating.
At this time in history, putting a sun flare in a film
Yeah.
was a big
I know.
no-no.
Yeah, exactly. So many things that I'm
It
just
was
like...
considered unprofessional.
Yeah, and there were so many... and that's another thing that and Easy Rider, because like these are like purposeful, and Easy Rider, I feel like... Well, I mean, it's Laszlo Kovacs.
It was
purposeful.
They both used sun flares to their advantage.
These like these very natural lens flares and kind of like the it's just amazing.
And then by contrast, like Easy Rider, just it has this documentarian approach to the entire film, and it's gorgeous. Like I think it's a gorgeous looking movie, and it's like look that I try to strive for in a lot of my own stuff, where it has this kind of handheld beauty to it, where it just feels organic, and it's like there's the whole movie's just swimming in grain, and it's just a total polar opposite of like just the intense formalism of Mike Nichols, but it works.
I hold on, dang it, I'm looking for the one where you finally, that's it, okay. Two things. I'm gonna show you guys two things, and we're gonna move on to Easy Rider, because well that's an Expedia.com commercial, so there's that. So this is the pool montage that we're talking about from The Graduate, and just watch how they use. I mean, this is, again, it's like, but for the time, to me, it's just so.
It still works.
I mean, it definitely works.
The way that
definitely works.
You think you're still in one scene, and then you zoom out from his face, and you realize you're in another scene. It's fantastic.
It's incredible. Just watch. This is editing that draws attention to itself, but in a great way. And almost still, even for as showy as it is reasonably like reasonably imperceptible. I mean, not really, but hold on a second. There we go.
I felt like it worked. It wasn't showy at all. It
definitely works.
What it's doing is it's using the medium.
Yes, absolutely.
To actually get across some shit.
I guess,
what you're supposed to do with filmmaking. You're supposed to use the medium.
Absolutely. And I don't mean showy. I guess I just mean like there's editing that's great because it is invisible, and there's editing that's great because it is, like you say, like using the tool to enhance the story. It's using it truly as a storytelling medium, and kind of enhancing the themes and what the character's feeling. And this is a great example of it. And we're just going to watch it with these things I'm tired of. Okay, here we go. So this is just think about it. This is a guy who feels lost, and like his life is a constant meaningless circle of doing nothing when he had all this promise, and then sleeping with his dad's partner's wife. And you get a nice... This is so Wes Anderson.
It's shockingly so. Like I kept thinking that the entire time. I was just like the framing, the symmetry of it,
and not in like a he knocked it off kind of way. It's just he's the spiritual successor.
Well, it's just I immediately was like, oh, this is his big reference film. I went and saw Lady Snowblood at a Austin Film Society the other night, and that's a movie that I was like, oh. Quentin Tarantino didn't just reference this; he ripped it off completely for Kill Bill, like the entire movie.
Because out of context, you go like, oh, "This is a lame emo movie." It's not, though. It's great.
Who's the cinematographer?
I looked it up. I didn't know his name. I didn't recognize his name.
It's just so well done.
It's so really good.
Because it really is a forward-thinking type cinematography. Like, this was not being done at this time.
No.
I feel like.
So like so that was the hotel that he sleeps with Miss Robinson, and now he's at his house. Simon Garfunkel songs. It was an album that kind of came out as it was, right?
So Mike Nichols, when he was cutting the movie together, he used 2 songs as temp tracks, and then he ended up just falling in love with them. Boom.
Sorry, that's the shot.
That's so great.
That's the shot. I mean, that's like the famous one, right?
And so he ended up using them as temp tracks, and then he fell in love with them, and he contacted them and said, I want to use these, and I also want you to write 3 more. And I think they ended up writing 2 more.
Yeah. And this song specifically, I guess I've heard it. I've definitely seen the movie. I didn't remember it. And I was like, this is great. This is one of my favorite songs by them now. It is confusing a little bit. Boom.
That's so great.
That's great. I mean, it
like a beached whale.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that was it. That was the dang it.
Oh, it's all right. We got to keep going.
Yeah, but that was what I was talking about. It was great. Okay. Hold on. We're gonna Expedia.com. Yeah, they're basically from that movie. Yes. Like, I mean, Mrs. Robinson was originally Mrs. Roosevelt. It was written about Eleanor Roosevelt, but Mike Nichols was like, hey, change it to Mrs. Robinson. And they're like, all right.
My dress?
I'd rather not, Mrs. Robinson.
If you still think I'm trying to seduce you.
No, I don't, but I just feel a little funny.
Benjamin, you've known me all your life.
I know that, but I'm...
It's like Kathleen Turner.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Bye.
What are you so scared of?
I'm not scared, Mrs. Robinson.
Then why do you keep running away?
Because you're going to bed. I don't think I should be up here.
Haven't you ever seen anybody in a slip before?
Yes, I have, but I just... Look, what if Mr. Robinson walked in right now?
What if he did?
Well, it would look pretty funny, wouldn't it?
Don't you think he trusts us together?
She
Of course
is.
he does, but he might get the wrong idea. Anyone might.
I don't see why. I'm twice as old as you are. How could anyone think that?
But they would, don't you see?
Benjamin, I am not trying to seduce you.
I know that, but please, Mrs. Robinson, this is difficult.
Would you like me to seduce you?
What?
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I'm going home now. I apologize for what I said. I hope you can forget it, but I'm going home right now.
It's almost like this sounds weird, but like, oh gosh darn it, no! I need that shot.
We gotta go.
No, I need that shot. I'll find it later.
Which shot are you looking for?
Just the split second. Just the split second of her as she closes the door. Yeah, it was very Rain Man. Actually, this is gonna sound weird, but like Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like he works because yeah. Anyway, the delivery is great. Gosh darn it. Hold on. Door closed. That's got to be it, right? Come on. Do it. No. Please. I'll find it later. It's fantastic. It's such a beautiful split second. Yeah. Okay, fine. All right. Hold on. All right. Okay. Real quick. I guess we talked about. Oh yeah. If you go back and watch it, they're just these scenes. Where he like. He hits that part where he gets to. I love the whole movie. I really do.
Okay.
And I don't. Yeah. To me, because someone was mentioning like, why does he love Elaine? Isn't it just because it was his dad's idea or whatever? Mm-hmm. I buy in. Like the chemistry there. I buy into it, and I believe they truly love each other.
I don't, but I think the point is that he's not supposed. I don't think he really loves her. I think he thinks he loves her. He wants to be in love, and so he's fooling himself into thinking that. And then at the end of the movie, he realizes, I don't love her. I wanted the chase of this. I was chasing this feeling because I was so hurt at what happened, and I'm lashing out irrationally because I'm 20 years old and I don't know what's going on in my life. And so I was putting all these feelings that I didn't know how to deal with into this thing to give me something, somewhere to put them and an action to do. And then he realizes his mistake at the end. I think that's the whole point.
We do have to watch this end scene. Now, so I agree with you, but I also am also an eternal optimist. And I believe...
YouTube is...
But don't you think...
I believe it's definitely doubt. And as doubt creeps in and reality creeps in.
I think it's complete...
I think they end up together.
Oh,
yes. No, I think so. Yes, they do. I totally think so.
They do not.
No, I think they do.
They are 20 years old, and they made a massive mistake and made a huge... Look how happy they are after they locked their look at
this.
Their entire families together. Like, they do not... It is not going to work. That's the whole point.
Look, man. I'm sorry for the pain that you've had in your life that makes you... I really... Oh, crap. What the crap's happening?
It would ruin the movie for me if he really did love her.
But it
would take away all
okay.
the
Let me ask you a question.
Intricacy of it.
Well, no. I think it's the honesty of admitting creeps in.
I think he fully believes that he's in love with her, and I think the whole point of the last shot is to realize I'm not in love with her. This was a misplay. I didn't know where to put my emotions.
I think what's amazing about it, and I mean, this is just what it is the level of honesty. The level of honesty to admit that is what would happen, that you would have this moment. And then I think it's kind of up to the viewer to decide what they think happens. Now,
I don't think, I think he found a girl that he made feel really bad because he was a total dick on the first date.
Absolutely.
And then because she wasn't a dick right back, and showed him a slight amount of interest and seemed interesting and cool, at least initially.
Because she cries. He makes her cry and he feels terrible.
I think he views it. It just seems like, and the whole movie's about youth and the indiscretions of youth and the mistakes you make and how easily you can be manipulated, and then how easily you can manipulate others and not feel bad or think you're in the right. So I really think that the whole idea is,
it's interesting.
As someone who is young and thinks just they don't really know how they don't have a lot of experience in the world or in relationships and stuff. He thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks he's doing the noble thing and the romantic thing. Yeah. He thinks he is the white knight. But he's not. He's a dick. But he's a dick. He ruined a wedding and ruined and
but she didn't.
She slept with a mom, then chose to go and then after she explicitly tells him not to get involved with her daughter, he says fuck it, does it anyway.
Because he loves her.
And then
Vivian Bronco,
then
thank you for
after
the follow.
the entire family gets broken up and the father leaves, comes and visits him in his house in Berkeley. And tells him, you ruined my life. I think you're a scoundrel. I think you're a terrible human being. He's like, and he still goes and does it.
Because she loves him and he loves her. No! 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman and Kevin Bacon are both in Sleepers. But so look. I get it. But,
you get it because it's right.
No. See, look. I understand what you're saying, but he believes he's doing the right thing. And it's not one-sided. It's not one-sided.
But if we go with your version, everything that I just said, it's not true, and all those layers evaporate, and then it's just he loves her, and that's all it is.
No, he's lost. He's lost, and so he's hurting people. He's lost, and so he's going for something that he's like, because he's like, well, this is crazy, and now I feel, and it's a situational thing, and he falls in love with this because he's not allowed to. But she is also he's terrible to her, and then he connects with her when she's not terrible back and has a kind heart and feels hurt, and so he falls in love with that, and then he has this moment at the end where he goes, oh my God, what have I done? I better be sure. That's what that moment is, and he's like, I'm not sure. Oh gosh, what have I done? She's doing the same thing.
I think she's easily manipulated because she's
not manipulated.
I think she likes him a lot, and I think she has feelings for him that she also thinks are loving feelings. But I think it's like a classic, abusive type thing. He slept with her mother, then
her mother seduced him,
and he did it. But then he went out, and then she explicitly said, "She was like, please, I have one thing. If you just one thing, I don't want you to do.
Sure,
don't go out with my daughter." He does, admittedly, he was forced to. But then he makes a conscious decision. He's like, "You can't keep me away from her." And then he's like, "This is gonna ruin my family." He's like, "Screw it, I don't care."
But why? For love. What
he
yes, but what else does he? Yes, but what else does he have? What else does he have to go on? What else does he have to go on?
No, but that's
it's not a bad reason to do it.
It's not a bad. No, but you stumped me.
It's not a bad reason to do it. What I'm saying is,
it's not but that's what makes it interesting. Here's the thing.
It is what makes it interesting. And I'm not saying that they necessarily
by arguing this, you're making me like the second half now more.
Good.
Because of my way. Because of my version.
Okay, great. Well, great. This is fine. But here's the deal. I'm not necessarily saying that they end up together. I'm saying
there's no way they do.
No, that's not true. That's not true. First of all, if we're going by canon, there's a film that exists called Rumor Has It, and
with Jennifer Aniston.
Yes, and she is the offspring of Benjamin Braddock and Elaine
Are you
Robinson.
serious?
Yes.
Like in
That's
terms
the-
of canon of narrative?
Well, that's the story of that movie. Or
Are you serious?
The story of that movie is that it's not really them, but it's like who supposedly the novel was based on in the story of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tell you, with my car, I got nothing but trouble every Sunday. I take my wife and kids out for a push. Are you more Rodney Dangerfield? Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the bits that you give to me. Here's what I'm saying. The end of The Graduate is the end of The Wrestler. The end of The Graduate is the end of The Wrestler. It leaves it open and goes, what are you going to do? Like, what you make your own decision. Do you know what I'm saying? It
the
goes,
end of The Wrestler is him having nothing left and choosing to put it all into that moment.
I know. Without spoiling things, do you think it do you think it turns out well or not well for him in that moment after the screen goes black? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think his life continues.
Okay.
I just think his life continues.
Do you think?
I don't think it's...
You think? Like he doesn't?
No. Like what do you mean? Like when he jumps?
Yeah.
No, I think he's
That's
fine.
the whole thing.
Oh no.
No, that is the whole thing.
Ah.
That's the whole thing, and that's why it's such a jump.
It's him jumping.
I was going to say because
it's him jumping, knowing like
he could die.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's
We're
as dramatic
ruining
as
such
that.
a great film.
I think it's more that he's continuing to power through.
See, Juan, look at Juan. I'm telling you, that's the thing.
I think he's giving he's just like, I'm giving the people what they want because that's what gives me
of course.
purpose in
and
my life.
The choice is what is important.
Yes.
And it's one of the greatest endings of all time.
It's
I love it so
stunning.
much. I love it so much. I love it so much.
Yeah.
And I love this ending of The Graduate too. But
too.
it just goes, and it can. Yes, I agree that it can go your way.
I
it
don't
doesn't
think
necessarily.
he dies, by the way. Like, I never thought that. That
No, I
didn't
didn't
enter
either.
in my brain. I've seen it many times.
I did not. I made up in my brain that he didn't, but I've always.
I didn't even think that was like a
that's the
dramatic
question.
consideration to
totally
be
question.
had.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I knew he was going through stuff, but in that moment at the end, I never thought about it. It was like, if he jumps off the top rope, he's gonna die.
Well, the doctor tells him that.
Does he?
I think so. Yeah. After
I
this
just
conversation,
I
with the
thought
doctor.
of it more
Anyway.
thematically in terms of like what that jump meant.
Yeah. Well, it is thematic, but it's also literal. I think it literally is his going like because he doesn't have anything else. He doesn't have any other connection. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about the rest of it. But so I don't necessarily think they stay together. I don't necessarily think they stay together. But I don't think the point is. I don't think the movie is going. They're not going to stay together. I think the point of the movie is to go. You're not sure. You didn't know. You didn't know what you wanted. Did you have that doubt? It's just that seed of doubt that's that honest. Watch this. This is what we're talking about. So just so you know, so he's gone and interrupted this wedding. He has gone and oh gosh darn it! I should have just got. He's gone and knocked on the thing. Gone, Elaine. While the guy's just kissed the
right
bride.
at the altar. She's gone bad,
And
and she runs out of the cathedral.
And it's such a great moment. It's such a great cinematic moment. But unfortunately, I feel like the filmmaking has aged because it's like he's going Elaine, and then it goes to these weird close-up shots of her, Elaine's dad, and he's going
Yeah.
and Bancroft, who we know is a phenomenal actor,
Yeah.
both of them, and she's going.
And I think that's...
And then she goes, bad! Like, you're right. And the audio is scratchy. The audio is bad. It's such a weird thing. And it makes my brain, I go, what a great moment in my head where I made it better. Technically. Better technically. Scription. It's definitely a cliche. It's just, Elaine is like one of the, great movie quotes and most frequent movie quotes. Subscription. Thank you, dude. Whoops. Oh, he says next week. 18 months, Wetla. Thank you so much for that resub, my friend. How are you? Lots and lots of love. Now, here is that. This is one of the most famous endings in movie history. And ignore the green screen. Oh. They've just run out. He's gotten her out of it. He's broken up the thing. She's ran out. She's yelled back at him. She's run out of the thing of the church with him.
so good.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh yeah, this is like a meme song now. Yeah, that's good. Right? Wait. I mean, it'll be fine. Okay. Oh.
It's just the heat of the moment's not there anymore. So like, what's left?
Yeah.
And that's youth.
Well, it's just like now we got to deal with this.
Which is why
you got to be sure. You got to be sure you want
about
it.
The ramifications of how it's going to affect the rest of your life, and that's what's happening in that moment. Which is why it's not going to work.
The reality, it was why they need to think about it. Which is why. So I don't
But
think
it's not going to work.
Well, look, man,
No
I
way.
can't cure your lack of faith in love and humanity. But I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that the movie does not tee that ending up at all.
No,
It's
no,
way
no.
more. The movie is way more cynical than that.
That they
I'm not disagreeing with the notion of it. I'm just saying this movie just tees up.
doesn't say that they stay together.
Yeah, it's a much
And I'm
more
not- yeah.
satirical,
Speed with Keanu Reeves.
analyzation of. It's just it's meaner than that.
Possibly, but I think it stops just short of going, ha ha ha. It just goes, think about this, and it just subverts your expectation, which is that they run off and they're happy, and it just goes, life
Yeah.
isn't like that necessarily.
Exactly.
And at the very least, I think it just makes you sit there with them and kind of
Yeah.
go,
I mean,
what are we doing? And then you're left with that, and you go, oh,
Sure,
oh.
it's you're supposed to contemplate it.
Sure.
And I choose to contemplate it as, and what the author of all the authors of the movie are saying is, okay, what's going to happen next?
Right.
And I choose to say, well, that's definitely not going to work out.
Which is
without
fine.
question.
That's totally fine. Okay, let's talk about Heezy Radyar. So the sobering emotion they show at the end of the movie is because Nichols had just yelled at them. Yeah, I read that he like.
Side note, my girlfriend just texted me, and she found a prop gun in my closet when she was looking for a tape measure, and she sends me a photo of it going, what the fuck, is this real? And she's like,
Oh no.
she says, this is a terrifying thing to come by when you just want a tape measure.
That's really funny. Hey, look at that. We do healthy disagreement well. Isn't that nice?
Hey.
I feel like
Hey!
hey, fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I forgot I don't. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what's great. I mean, any good movie, like, you should be able.
Yeah.
That's what's great about art.
Yeah.
It's subjective.
Yeah.
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 He's right, and guess what? So am I.
Yeah. Well, now you have to tell her the truth that you're a spy.
That's
Swear
also
jar.
true.
I mean, the swear jar didn't. All right.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, I don't know. That counts here. So let's talk about Easy Rider. Let's just real quick to kick it off. Hey man, I enjoy doing this. Why is there tape on my pop filter? Oh, because I taped a thing to it to try to improve sound blockage. Huh! So you can get a pretty good idea of what Easy Rider is about from this, sort of. I mean, it goes. I'll just. So this is the beginning, and what they've done is bought some cocaine.
They did a cocaine deal, and they got a lot of money.
Yeah, and then they're putting the money into the gas can, the gas tank of this. they're putting in the gas tank of a star-spangled motorcycle. Oh, it's a purely decorative pop filter, Heath. It's just to make me look more professional.
He just put all his hopes and dreams in the gas tank that looks like America.
Oh, man.
And he's put it on his American helmet.
And this is Peter Fonda. If you've ever seen 12 Angry Men, this is the son of Henry Fonda, the juror who is the rightest man in the world.
Better actor. I want to talk about this moment, though.
Okay.
Because I want to know what you think this means.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think that means?
I think that means the cameraman slipped in the focus, and the zoom just...
Yeah, he's fucked up on the zoom.
I think that's him. That's his tossing off the, vestiges of civilization.
Okay.
Time's going. I'm not going to pay attention to time.
I kind of took it somewhat like that. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah,
it's iconic
this is
right
great.
there.
This is great. Peter and Yuli's Gold. I have not. My wife was like, "What else is Peter Fonda in?" And I was like, "Yuli's Gold."
Ghost Rider.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh! I never put that together. Is he the bad guy in Ghost
Yes.
Rider? Oh, that's something.
Yep.
Wait. Isn't the bad guy Wes Bentley? Or is it a different Ghost Rider?
Well, there's two Ghost Riders, so I don't know which
Good.
one.
That's not fair. And this is, of course, on the right. Well, that's not really what the right is. I guess if you were behind them on the right, Dennis Hopper. Modern day. It is like a Western. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What? There was a specific moment that made me think that I...
And this is a great thing to watch because this really does sum up the heart of the movie. Because, I did enjoy this movie, but I'll fully admit half this movie is just shots of him driving, which is kind of the point.
And it is kind of the point, but there is far more of a story than I expected, honestly. I was like, oh, very specific things happen. And it is Karen Black from Trilogy of Terror. Oh, I never saw Trilogy of Terror. That's the one with the little zombie doll? She's in that? Karen Black is also Easy Rider, not Easy Rider. Well, yes, Easy Rider. 5 Easy Pieces and like Family Plot. Guy Badger. That's what I wanted to show you guys. The Jenny. The guy running the Jenny was Guy Badger. Which clearly...
Badger had to go get more fuel, guys, for the Jenny.
Clearly it's like a Animaniacs Chicken Boo. It's a badger posing as a human. And he was like, I'm running the Jenny on Easy Rider. I just did a bunch of blow.
God, yeah, can you imagine what that guy's job on that set? Like, he must have been coked out of his mind.
I bet a badger, like a very intelligent badger, could have been running the generator on that set because they would have been like, dude, am I really? I'm not gonna say anything to anyone else because they're gonna think I'm really screwed up.
Union's not gonna go for this. We gotta give him a name.
Yeah.
Call him Guy Badger.
That's really great, man. Like that's like. He's a guy, but also like no one would
grass, man.
They'd be like, dude, is the guy running the generator a badger? And he's like, you're really screwed up, man. I didn't want to say anything because I thought I was really screwed up. Trilogy of Terror, yes. As a kid, you mean still might get you saw it today. That part with Karen is terrifying. Oh boy, oh boy.
Is that little Cary Grant? You're just doing there?
Hello, Diane. Let's go to. Come on, take a look at these swatches.
Wow.
That's me.
Very debonair.
Hey, well, hey. All right, stream's over. That's all we needed. That was me doing an impression of Tom Hanks doing an impression of Cary Grant in,
I thought that was pretty good.
In Sleepless in Seattle. Thank you. Well, that's that. Yeah, sure. I'm going to keep doing it the whole night now. That's all I want. Crouching and crazed looking. Goodness, that reminds me of Sacred Deer. Anyway, so that was the opening to Easy Rider. And I used to believe like that's all you. Before I saw it unfairly, I was like, that's all you need to see because that's kind of what Easy Rider is. It's not. There's a very like it's a road movie.
Yes.
They go and have very specific sort of adventures.
It's you can kind of break it down where it's like scene. 3 minutes of montage set to a song of writing, scene.
But scene would like
repeat ad nauseum till the end of the film.
Sure. Yes, and I feel like Easy Rider these are all very interesting movies to watch near each other.
Yeah.
Easy Rider, I think, pairs really nicely with Bonnie and Clyde. They kind of are like in terms of story, right? Like in terms of like because it's this duo. They're outlaws.
Right.
They are. And what it really drove home to me, like Easy Rider, essentially is like you watch it and you go, it's a time capsule. You watch it and you go, oh dang, I didn't realize things were like that, because you think it's just like, oh, these dudes having a good old time out on the road, smuggling cocaine like you do, with a gas tank full of money. And you go, it's just like they're just going to do a bunch of drugs and whatever. But what you start to realize is, like, as they come to these different towns, I didn't really realize this was a thing. Like, I knew people were like, oh, hippies, as the hippie movement was coming in.
Yeah, neither did I.
But I didn't realize it was dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, people were like...
They called them long hairs.
Long hairs, and they would, like, chase them and beat them the same way they did, you know... Heath Allen, thank you for the host, my friend. Thank you so much, dude. The same way they did, because there's a scene in the diner where they walk in and there's a dude, like the guy just like, there's them and there's a table full of dudes and a table full of girls. And the girls are all like, look at those guys.
Like, they're so sexy.
Wow, look at them. Did they ride in those motorcycles? Oh my gosh. And then the like redneck dudes are like, they run the gamut. Every color of the rainbow of xenophobia and like...
Within 2 minutes, they're plotting on how to kill them.
Yeah, and they go like, something, also something against black people, also something against homosexuals, also something against women, also something against hippies, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, the only thing that's missing is I don't think they call them commies, but like, that I feel
and
like they did.
I wanted to be like, that's a little rushed, like, it seems like, but here's the thing, like, I've been in certain towns, and like I love small towns and I love Southern culture. Absolutely. And I truly, like, it means a lot to me, but I've also seen the dark side of that stuff, and you do get judged on your looks, and it's happened to me where, I mean, if your pants are just any type of skinny, you're gonna get some looks where it's just like, what are you doing here, and how long are you gonna be here, and if you're here too long, I'm gonna say something. Interesting. And that's very true.
It's like KKK tactics. Any outsiders get out or get dead. Yeah, basically, absolutely. Yeah, especially the old style. Absolutely.
And so they're going on this journey across America after doing this cocaine deal because they want to take their money and they want to go to Mardi Gras
and blow it,
and they want to blow it on Mardi Gras, baby, in Louisiana. And so that's the movie. That's the arc. I mean, it's very simple.
That's the premise,
and
exactly.
It's the journey along the way and who they meet and stuff like that.
And things do change and go differently from that, and it takes a dark turn, very dark turn, and it was like. So it's interesting. I think it's interesting to compare it to both Bonnie and Clyde and The Graduate, because I feel like Bonnie and Clyde and Easy Rider just go hand in hand in terms of like these rebels who are thumbing their nose at authority and going like, look, dudes. And it's the same, like this Easy Rider, the other movies were don't know how successful they were in terms of each other, but Easy Rider was hugely successful. Massive. Enormously successful.
And it was made for like not much money. And $350,000.
And it was made, I mean, you watch it and you go, oh man, these dudes are all chilled out and having a good time. And it was made in just a crap storm of
the making.
It was a mess. It was a nightmare.
Is to me more fascinating than the movie itself. And I enjoy the movie.
Yes,
but the making of it is insane.
So Dennis Hopper, you may know him as the antagonist from Speed.
That's right.
Yeah.
Come on, Jack.
I'm smarter than you, Jack. I'm smarter than you.
Yeah, well, I'm taller.
Yeah. We've talked about
that.
This
Doesn't play. I don't understand.
We've talked about this, right?
Yeah, we have.
Because I was like, well, if you're taller, you just would have gotten your head knocked off earlier. And then I was like, years later, I was like, he's taller because he doesn't have a head now. He's taller because Dennis Hopper no longer has a head.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's what...
Right?
That's what,
He's just like, he goes, I'm taller. And I was like, oh, you were...
It's still one of those lines in Speed, and it's supposed to be it's the moment that just culminates to that one line. Yeah. It's the end of the movie, and it culminates to that one line, and you're just like,
yeah,
I'm gonna give it to you, but it doesn't really work.
Because Speed is awesome. Speed is really great.
Speed is awesome.
Speed is amazing.
Okay.
Speed is like, Okay.
But we're not going to go down that
But
road.
I want to though. Because here's what. Let me real quick. Because your brain is waiting for. Your brain is expecting. Well, looks like you lost your head.
Yeah.
Right. But it just goes. It's more. They went for the more like you got to think about it. It's a way Homer.
It's
that Keanu Reeves utters after decapitating.
And you know what? I bet Keanu Reeves pitched it, and that's how he pitched it. He was like, "It's a way Homer, guys."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" By the way, love Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Love him as a,
also,
as
he's
a
like
human.
He's like
and
the
as an
kindest
actor.
man. He's just the most kindest, generous, wonderful person in the world, according to those goal cast things that I've seen, where the cheetah comes out and goes, "Did you know Keanu Reeves gave all his money to everyone who needed it?" You were probably thinking he was stupid, you asshole.
Yeah.
Dang it, swear jar.
He always gives up his seat on the subway.
Does he?
Yeah.
Does he ride the subway?
Yes.
After Speed, he rides the subway.
Yeah.
All right, take it easy, MM7. But yeah, so in terms of comparing it to Bonnie and Clyde, it is these. It blew the doors off the thing. Like we talked about, like Bonnie and Clyde kind of like went, hey, and people were like, what's this? And then there was The Graduate, and then Easy Rider, just people lined up around the block. There was people, they're talking about how like the people who came to see the movie, they were like, what do we do? They don't have shoes, they're smoking weed in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But there are lines around the block and it's going and going and going.
It's interesting because I feel like it took 3 movies to get there.
Yeah.
We're really 2. But it was Bonnie and Clyde, which used an old 40s style plot line,
trope. Yes,
but then
basically.
it pushed it a little bit.
And
then The Graduate still had that intense formalism and beautiful camera work and everything, but it wrapped it up in a very sharp, forward-thinking screenplay. And then Easy Rider took it, went up 9 notches, and was like, we're going to rethink how to make this on the ground level in terms of cinematography, directing, acting. Like, when you hear about how unprofessional the production and the making of the movie was, it's kind of crazy.
It's amazing
that the movie makes sense in any way, shape, or form, or that it's good in any way.
And it is masterful in a lot of ways.
And it is masterful, but also I feel like
sense.
there's this there's the rawness to it, and I feel like just people at that moment in time were like, that's what we want.
Yes.
Because that's real.
And yes, and that's what it was.
And that's more than anything. It didn't matter about the professionalism or the writing or anything, or even the plot at all. It was like, that's us, and that's what, and that's our life on the screen.
You're
and
absolutely
that's what
right.
people wanted.
You're absolutely right. Bonnie and Clyde was like, whoa, these are ideas, and these are feelings that I have. Easy Rider was like, I know that guy, and he's sitting next to me.
That's right.
He's sleeping
like,
on my couch right now.
they're smoking grass right now. I'm smoking grass right now.
Whoa!
Yeah.
No, but like it seems like it. I mean, it seems like it's just about being on bikes and doing drugs, but it really isn't. Like,
I mean,
it is, but
I would argue that, like, you know, even the writing of it, it's not particularly masterful in any way.
Right.
I think it explores ideas that are nice, but, like, you know, Jack Nicholson is in this movie, and this is what made Jack Nicholson Jack Nicholson. Yeah. Before this, he was no one. He had been plugging along in Roger Corman film, like
Little Shop of Horrors,
low budget Roger Corman movies for 10 years, and he was basically done. He was like, maybe I'll just be like a behind the scenes guy. He has a bit role in this movie. It launches him into superstardom, and I lost my train of thought on that, so you can take over. Okay.
They get together at the end of The Graduate. Speed is the greatest film of all time. Good night. You're right. And he wrote Head. Sorry. Jack Nicholson wrote the Monkeys movie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Head.
Let me just finish this thought real quick.
There you go.
In terms of the dialogue, like, there's a scene with Jack Nicholson at a campfire scene. He's talking about aliens and all this stuff, and they start getting into this really heady ideology and things like that. And it's all great.
Yes, Sunny Bits.
And it really does feel like a conversation you would have while you're high.
Yeah.
But it's also just like, there's no, like, where The Graduate is very nuanced and it presents its themes in very metaphorical ways. And
it's almost like a play, and it's so
Easy Rider is just like, we're going to have a character say it,
Yeah.
And he's gonna tell you, he's like, no, man, it's the system. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And one thing about that is that it was hilarious to me to watch Jack Nicholson go like, you say this is marijuana? How do I do it?
Laughed at
How
that,
do I do it? I was like, that is the hardest acting he has ever done.
Yeah.
He is acting his ass off right now. The Last Detail was after this movie. So was Five Easy Pieces. Five Easy Pieces was in short order. I think Five Easy Pieces is like 73. Last Detail is like 75.
Is the next year
Nick-
after this, after Easy Rider.
Is it
I think
70? Oh, you're right. I think you
it
might be
is.
right.
I
Last
think it
Detail might
is.
be 73.
I think it was the next movie, and that's what solidified Nicholson
Yeah.
as the next thing.
And we're gonna watch those at some point.
We're gonna watch the shit out of
Five Easy Pieces is fantastic,
And the
Last
Last
Detail
Detail.
is fantastic. And if you don't, I'm so passionate about this
He
because
is.
I was
He
a guy
really
he will instead of because I was a guy. I grew up watching. I saw Batman and I was like, okay, that's Jack Nicholson.
Right.
And people go, why is Jack Nicholson a star? And people go, Batman. Look at Batman. And you
Right.
watch him play the Joker and you go, okay, he's being Jack Nicholson. No. Watch and Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes.
Rightfully, people bring it up.
That's
but
mine, yeah.
I get it.
But
Five Easy Pieces.
Ugh.
5 Easy Pieces. And The Last Detail. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love you, Sonny Bits, for loving The Last Detail. This is why I love movies.
dude,
Seriously. You
you get a sense of someone, and you're just
I
like,
just go,
that guy likes that
I
movie.
love
Yeah.
you for loving it. It's great.
It is. It's one of, and it might be my favorite Hal Ashby movie. Yeah, it's
Last Detail?
Yeah.
I thought you hadn't seen it. I thought you said you hadn't seen
I
it.
thought I introduced you to it.
What?
I think I told you to watch it, and then you texted me afterward, and you were like, "This is amazing." No,
No.
no.
I mean, I feel like I would.
How long ago did you see it for the first time?
Not long. I saw it at my. Look, man. Look. I saw it at my father-in-law's.
Give me the credit.
No. All right. No, I'd wanted to watch it because it was a Hal Ashby movie, and I knew it was like another one of those where I was like, because I saw Five Easy Pieces
Yeah.
and was like, I have to see The Last Detail. now,
Yeah.
because gosh.
Ugh.
Oh yeah, The Shining. The Shining is a different Nicholson though.
That's Nicholson at his most extreme, and but you can see how talented he is because he is overacting to the extreme, but that's the point, and he still sells it.
It's so interesting. Even in I'll say even in Easy Rider, like there are moments where I'm like, he's got a thing. It's very rehearsed, and he's like I'm gonna do this, and he just goes what? Like he does this thing where he goes, I'm not gonna do it well, but he'll be like he'll go like,
Yeah.
well, and he just
And I
does
think
all this
that's
thing,
his-
and he's like, he's just being he's mussing it up
Yeah.
and making it, and I'm like, I see it though. In The Last Detail and Five Easy Pieces, it's just like, dang it,
Very reserved,
he's
yeah.
just real. He's just real. Cuckoo's Nest is Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, Cuckoo's Nest is Cuckoo's Nest. It's
Cuckoo's Nest is one of my favorite films. Honestly, Nicholson it's an obvious choice, but like he's in the top 5 actors of all time for me.
I think if you're taking Last Detail, it's so weird because Five Easy Pieces is such a thing, but I'm almost like Last Detail, man. Last Detail, and he it's less of a, because there's a moment in Five Easy Pieces where because you're like, I'm on board. You're like, I'm on board. Oh gosh, and you're like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the one. That's
Yeah.
it. And then and it just takes you by surprise so much.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I know.
I've ever seen him do that again, but like.
He has another like there's
I watched Terms of Endearment a long time ago, and that's like
I don't think I've ever seen that.
yeah.
He did something in Cuckoo's Nest. It's my favorite moment in the movie when he's looking around after they have the party with the hookers.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's a nice little quiet
everybody's
moment.
passed out and he's by the window and it's already open and he's thinking about leaving. He's just looking around and he's smiling because he's like, I did it.
Yeah.
He's like, I had the party and I got my way and now I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
He's looking around and then he gets a little sad. And they just linger on it for
Yeah.
a full minute.
Yeah.
And it's just on
Yeah.
his face as he looks around the room. And it's probably some of the best acting he's ever done.
There's a lot of dude, and these movies. I mean, they just might be like he directed a western. He did. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, I know.
I almost want to say Marlon Brando's in it.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. And I can't remember.
It's like Two-Eyed Jack or
Something like that.
Yeah.
He directed a movie called Going South. He's done a lot of. He did like.
We need to
Is
do
it The
that.
Postman Always Rings Twice? Is that it? Or is
That's the
that's
title.
That's a different. No, it's The Postman Always Rings Twice, and it was remade with I think Dennis Quaid and Jessica Lange. or he's an, I don't know, whatever. I kind of like the way we're gonna do, like, you know, we're talking about these things and kind of like we had the plan to like do directors. I kind of want to do like blocks of act, like 2 or 3 movies with of an actor,
Yeah,
and I think
for
Nicholson is like, Cuckoo's Nest is amazing. Cuckoo's Nest is amazing. It is amazing. No, it's fantastic. What am I saying? It's amazing. I kind of have a sort of like personal soft spot for 5 Easy Pieces and Last Detail. But Cuckoo's Nest is fantastic. It is great.
But it all started
with Easy Rider.
With Easy Rider.
And
he plays a drunk ACLU lawyer.
Yes. Who was originally going to be played by Rip Torn.
Who was originally going to be, by Rip Torn.
But he got in a knife fight with Dennis Hopper.
But he got into a knife fight with Dennis Hopper.
Almost did.
So let's just
Dennis
talk
Hopper
about,
was like...
We need to talk about this
we
because...
do.
You know,
it's part of
the
the
movie
thing.
is pretty simple, and it goes from A to B. They get to, so along the way, they meet Jack Nicholson. They pick him up. He decides to come with them to New Orleans, and along the way, they run into some roughnecks who end up beating them up in the middle of the night, and Jack Nicholson gets killed. Like, they beat him up while they're in their sleeping bags, sleeping in the middle of the night. Jack Nicholson gets killed. They decide to immediately go to New Orleans anyways. They have, like, no memorial for him at all.
And did you notice, like, well, go ahead.
And so they get to New Orleans and they go to the brothel, a brothel that Nicholson had recommended earlier in the film, and they take these 2 hookers and they go have an acid trip in a cemetery, which is supposed to be the culmination of like all their hopes and like on a thematic level, the hopes and dreams of all their like what they wanted to do and all this journey was supposed to be about, and they ended up having a bad trip.
And I also got to think that it's don't quote me, but I've got to think it's the first such montage in a movie.
Yeah.
In terms of like
it's
that stuff hadn't
even now it's ridiculous.
And but it's
the point.
It's just been done so many. I mean, like that is a seminal thing. Like people are just like, oh.
People are like, because like I've had a lot of people be like, yeah, it kind of looks like a student art film. I'm like, yeah, but like that's where it all started.
Yeah,
like
they were making it up.
Looked at that and they're like, I want to make that.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it. I mean, it's disorienting and it's crazy and it's whatever and they're like just insane emotions. I feel like it kind of replicates the feeling of something like that. You know,
it does.
I mean, it's very like, and it
does.
So I've seen from other movies.
So anyways, so after that, they have their acid trip, and then the next day they're back on their bikes and they're on the road again.
And are you gonna?
Are we gonna go?
I don't know.
I wanted to get through it so we could go back and talk about the making of it, but we can.
We should. I guess we could. So if you haven't, we could talk about the ending. Who did? It's such a gut. It's if you're not expecting it.
Yeah. Okay, we can hold off.
But okay. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
We can talk about everything else first. If you want to talk about it later, we can.
Well, I do. No. Well,
because there's just so much insanity that we should discuss. Because
yes,
like Dennis Hopper was already kind of known. He'd been acting for many years at this point. He was good friends with James Dean. He's in Rebel Without a Cause.
Right.
He's one of his best friends in the movie. He was best friends with him.
Right.
And then when he died, that kind of really messed him up, and he kind of veered off course. And because he used to be a kind of a polished, clean-cut dude, and he kind of went off the rails. He got into drugs and alcohol, and he was already known within that tight-knit Hollywood circle as a bit of a loose cannon and a very confrontational, alcoholic, drug-abusing dude. And so they just decided, though, Peter Fonda was just like...
It's like, I believe him, and he's an artist. Yeah.
He did. He was like, I do believe in him as an artist, and I do know that this is going to be a risk, but I think he can make something great. And so he gave him this idea of 2 bikers going on a trip, and he was like, I want to be in it, and I'll produce it, and then you can direct it. And
this is Peter Fonda talking to Dennis Hopper.
Peter Fonda, and Dennis Hopper was like, he knew that no one was going to give him a shot at directing because of his reputation. And so he jumped on it immediately. But without question, they went down to Mardi Gras to get some B-roll footage,
Right.
almost as a test for the studio to see if they could trust him as a director.
Yeah.
And he blew it.
Yeah, it went horribly. And actually, it's funny because if you watch the movie, when it gets to, like, I was watching it and it got to the Mardi Gras part, and I was like, what the? Did they start shooting on something else?
The footage is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like a documentary, but someone underexposed it by 8 stops, and then they tried to bump it up. It's like the most grainy looking footage.
Yeah, it's like Blair Witch.
Yeah, it's bad.
And well, supposedly, like, again, it was a test because Fonda too was kind of like a troublemaker for running around with him.
Right.
And you're right, they sent them down there to be like, shoot this Mardi Gras stuff, which is kind of near end of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's just like walking around Mardi Gras, like, having, just
partying. Shots of the parade.
Yeah. It's just like kind of important stuff, but whatever. And they got down there, and apparently, according to the book, Peter Fonda got the day wrong.
Oh yeah, and he thought they had a month.
Yeah, and it was like and then like it ends up they had a week. Dennis Hopper just grabs 2 friends, Karen Black and Tony something, and they just head down there, grab some cameramen. Apparently, and they're just like, each cameraman is like, cool, we're gonna just shoot. And he told every cameraman that they were the first camera in terms of like, so usually you have camera 1 and the other ones are kind of like backing them up.
A camera, which is your main camera, getting the important stuff. B camera's getting B-roll footage of other things.
But he told all of them that they were the A camera, the number 1 camera, and they're all just kind of like whatever. And it was just a mess. It was a mess.
It was and
it works in the movie.
But even then, like, the quality of it is just terrible. But like, Dennis Hopper showed his true colors on that set, like during that shoot, and like he ended up
apparently the day 1,
they were there for 7 days to do the full
the Mardi Gras part,
and then they were gonna do the acid trip scene in the cemetery in the Louisiana cemetery, and they shot that at the very end, the cemetery sequence. And by that day, I think it was day 5, they show up to set that day, and there's only 1 crew person left because everyone else had left. Yeah. Because Dennis Hopper was such a nightmare. Like, people thought he was genuinely a lunatic, like an actual crazy person.
Yes, yeah.
Because he was bringing people over at 6:30 in the morning. And
people said he had loaded guns.
Yeah, he would keep loaded guns on the table everywhere he was at. He called people down into the parking lot at 6:30 in the morning outside the hotel room just to yell at everyone for like trying, because he was paranoid because he was on drugs and alcohol. And he's like, you're trying to take my movie away by doing your job. And he's like, I do your job.
Because apparently what they said that they were like in the parking lot of a hotel, like I think even before the shoot started, like on the day that they were supposed to start. And he like gathered them there to be like, hey, I know, like, this is a quote from the book, quoting Dennis Hopper, but who knows? It's like, whatever. But apparently he said something like, I know that there are supposedly a lot of talented people on this crew, a lot of creative people, but I want you to know I'm the only creative person.
Yeah.
I am the only creative person. This is my movie. You're not going to take it away from me. He just started ranting. Peter Fonda, like, motions to the sound guys, just like start recording this. So because we might need to use this later. Like, without Dennis Hopper knowing. At looking at their watch, Peter Fonda's like, the parade already started.
Which is the whole reason they were there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so they're already late to the parade and stuff. So it was just a total nightmare scenario, and it didn't go well. They go back to LA to show the studio, because this was a test for Dennis Hopper to show the studio that he had the chops and the professionalism
miserably
to make a movie. And they go into to show dailies to the studio, and they're just, it's unusable footage. Yeah. Like, it wasn't even that it was like he doesn't have that much talent as a director or whatever. They were like, this is unusable. Like, what were you doing down there?
But is it? Did they reshoot that?
So no,
I feel like they used it.
They used it,
and it works, but
it works, but it's barely.
It's like you're watching a normal movie, and then all of a sudden you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, the quality just goes just the image quality.
Yeah.
I mean, because like you're used to the shaky stuff and like whatever, and that's fine. And it like works.
It works. It does work.
And it kind of, it's like we're in an, I mean, it almost works thematically, like we're in a new kind of whatever.
But if it wasn't this movie, it wouldn't work.
It's true. Yeah.
But anyways, they managed to somehow, Peter Fonda, I think, managed to somehow, he still felt that he was like, you just didn't have the proper backing. We weren't
or like
prepared
Schneider,
enough.
I think Schneider, right?
Or Schneider,
like,
yeah.
like because Peter Fonda was like ready to like whatever, and Schneider was
right.
like, do you still want to make this movie? And he was like, yeah, and he's like, well, I think he just didn't have the preparation and the right people.
Because you only had a week, you didn't have
it.
a month like you thought you did. So
Which
maybe
like
that's what it was.
Awesome that a producer would vouch for you that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like there's a quote from his, and like I mean it got dark. Like his wife was afraid of him and had to like
everyone was.
Dennis Hopper. Yeah, like
Peter Fonda like repeatedly said they were like, well, why didn't you just at so many points during production just say something and stand your ground instead of just bending to his will?
Tell him he was off.
Because I was literally afraid that if I told him or gave him like or argued with him too much, he was physically not just gonna hurt me, but probably try to kill me.
Yeah.
Because he was that out of his mind.
And I don't know, because like
and they still were working with it. That's what's so mind-boggling to me. They were working with such a guy who was like on a psychological level, so
just
far
out of his
gone.
mind off drugs.
Yeah,
right.
And it was all drugs. Yeah.
And he, I mean, and he's quoted in this book talking about that time. So like, and he obviously, well, I mean, he continued working and is, whatever. So I guess he got better, right? I mean, I don't know. We're not in the business of slandering Dennis Hopper.
He didn't. Like he kind of
really. I don't.
He kind of ran it into the ground, and just because of that, he, he's in Hoosiers, and he used a lot of like what happened to him in real life as motivation for his character in Hoosiers, because Hoosiers was a bit of a redemption for him too.
Interesting.
As an actor. Side note.
And then Super Mario Brothers.
And then Super Mario
King
Brothers.
Koopa. But it is a Blue Velvet. So I mean, he is one of those iconic figures. He's one of those people.
Yes.
This is interesting, and I feel like I read this paragraph and I was like, well, that just kind of sums up everything. Like, this is paranoid to the end. Hopper demanded Feinstein's exposed stock, the film stock. He's going after the movie was done, and he's like, I don't trust you. Give me all your film. I want it in my room. In other words, so Feinstein goes to the editor, and Feinstein started throwing the film cans at him. Whereupon Dennis jumped him, kicked and pummeled him. They went flying through a door into the room shared by Basil and Black, who are the two female friends that he brought down for the New Orleans shoot. According to Dennis, Peter was in bed with both women. The two men paused for a second to contemplate this spectacle, and then Feinstein heaved a television set at Dennis. So, like, I feel like that's
was just a Tuesday.
Nutshell. Yeah, exactly.
That's just a normal afternoon in the world of the Easy Rider shoot.
Says Karen Black, I was never in bed with Peter Fonda, believe me. So okay. But yeah, so it's this whole crazy thing. But the movie works. The movie has something to say. It is not crazy. I mean, it gives you what I feel like, and what Kasia was saying, we were watching it just gives you the sense of being there. You feel like you're there with them doing it, and that this is their day. I mean,
what I enjoyed about the movie more than anything, and why I was enraptured while I was watching it, like it was a fun watch for me,
and
is that it is a complete product of its time in that how they made it has this raw, almost documentary feel, because they were such a run and gun production. That it's just like, oh, this is what that moment in time, 1970. 1971, whenever
68.
68. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what...
Or 69. The year that Woodstock was taking place.
That's what 1969 looked like.
Absolutely.
And you get it. And I got the Blu-ray. And it just looked... You just feel like you're there. And you're like, that's what that looked like. And to analyze it in that framework was really fascinating. And just really interesting, and as a historical piece, it is great.
And that's again, that's what we were saying. That's what we were saying earlier. That was if Bonnie and Clyde was the first time people were like, I recognize these feelings and this spirit.
Yeah.
Easy Rider was like, this is me. This is me. And it's the same thumbing the nose at authority. It really is the spiritual successor to me, to Bonnie and Clyde. I feel like, in terms of this is here, and they're
put
on
a
the
modern
run.
face on that story.
Absolutely, and it goes, look, it's the same, and it's them encountering again. The bad guys are the establishment, right? And it's another chance for these studio heads to be like, We don't get it. It's a huge hit. It's kind of digging at us because we clearly are the establishment. We are these bad guys, these grown-ups, parents, authority figures, police officers, whatever. And we don't understand these crazy hippie kids.
Yes.
But it's working and it's selling, so keep giving them money.
Because when they finished the movie, the studio hated it. They didn't know what to make of it.
And Dennis Hopper wanted a 4.5 hour cut or something.
Oh yeah, he had.
There's a 4.5 hour cut of Easy Rider somewhere.
God.
That's really awesome.
I like. What on earth does that look like?
I don't know.
But not only was it 4.5 hours, it was 4.5 hours, and he was super proud of it.
Yeah,
he was intensely proud of it.
I bet it's good.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But they managed to get him away from the edit.
Yeah.
They sent him to Taos, New Mexico, I think.
To edit to play with the New Orleans footage, because they're like, he can't screw that up anywhere.
They cut it down to 90 minutes, showed it to him. He hated it, but he was like, well, if this is the only way it's going to get released, then fine, put it out. And it instantly, it turned into a cultural phenomenon. And so all the studios, they were just like, we still don't know why this is working the way it's working.
But we got to do more of it.
But we got to do more of it because this is making us an insane amount of money, especially because this cost us nothing.
Exactly. It made like $8 million on like a budget of $350.
Yeah.
$350,000.
Dennis Hopper said it made back their budget in a single day in one theater.
One theater. And by the way, like, it's such a sordid and interesting story behind it. And so I feel like it's kind of like, that's what they said about the Wachowski. And so that's really why it kicked open the door. That's why they say Easy Rider kicked open because they couldn't ignore it anymore. They were just like, this is it. And the studios were like, all right, we don't know how to do this. Yeah. They were the people, they had been the people who were making the movies and making the money. And now, and like there's a quote from Hopper that's great, that's in there, that's like, he's like, they knew they didn't know what they were doing, but if they were smart, they'd realize, or they were smart enough to know they didn't know what they were doing. And if they were smart, they'd become just distribution houses. And that's essentially what started happening. And that is what the new Hollywood was. That is the beginning of this movement where they were like, we were the ones making movies. Then these kids came in, made these crazy, dirty, violent, whatever. They didn't wear, like, some of them don't wear shoes. They're hippies. Yeah. They come in, they go off, do a ton of drugs, come back with a movie.
We don't even understand.
We go, what is this? We put it out and it goes crazy. Yeah. And they're like, all right, so we got to find more crazy young people.
And that's why you had and that's why Easy Rider is as important as it is, because that thinking gave way to 10 years and a full 1970s decade
of some of the greatest films of all time.
Of all time, because they were just like, we don't understand how this is working, but we know it's young kids who are the answer. Yeah. So we're gonna start trying stuff. And we're gonna start throwing shit at the wall. We're gonna trust that these young people are gonna do stuff that we might not understand, but hopefully it'll make us money.
It was like it worked. And it was like the patron system in like ancient. It's like they were just like, we're finding artists and just giving them money and hoping that they'll make something that'll make us more money. And
when you think about it now, it's like, of course that was only going to last for a finite amount of time. Right. But boy, because they take advantage of it for 10 years. Like, it's just fantastic.
And it's true. And again, like, we're talking about all the stuff that happened behind the scenes, and Dennis Hopper's insane. But at the same time, he truly was and is talented. He's very talented. He's a gifted artist. Absolutely. And that's why Easy Rider, at the heart of it, works. The story works. It says something. Dennis Hopper has a line in there where he's like, that Star-Spangled Bike that you were seeing that has the money crammed in the gas tank. He was like, I mean, this may be like say what you will about the metaphor, but it's interesting. He was like, I wanted that shiny chrome symbol.
Yeah.
This Star-Spangled shiny machine that ran on the fuel, that had money in the fuel tank.
Yeah.
That's America. That's it. That's America. Question. I mean, that's it. And there's this kind of enigmatic line where they're doing this thing, and like their whole thing is to take this money, go to Mardi Gras. Along the way, they encountered the social unrest, the social upheaval, the racism, the bigotry,
the judgment,
all of it. And they encounter these. They just stop in towns. The first place they go is a commune, which is like, I mean, like, what a thing. Like, what a time. I mean, it just goes, here you go. This is why people were like, I haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
Like 3-4 years ago, we were watching The Wizard of Oz and Casablanca.
Yeah.
Now we've got Easy Rider.
Yeah.
What is this? This is me. It's almost like we were talking about it in terms of just like hanging out and seeing yourself. Akasha was like, it's almost like Clerks was that for the 90s, and it's kind of like,
she
absolutely.
had this beautiful analogy.
Absolutely.
Because that's absolutely what it was.
It totally is Clerks,
when
and
she
it's
said
weird.
that, I was like, that's it.
That's exactly what it is.
What Easy Rider, it was what Clerks was to the 90s movement of independent filmmaking, that's what Easy Rider was to the 70s.
And I haven't seen this movie, and it's only been out like a few weeks, and I don't know and this may be an overstatement again because I haven't seen it, but the way I hear people talking about 8th grade, where it's like, this is the first time like I've actually seen this said this way, this honestly, and seen my like.
I didn't even know it was rated R, and I think it's so stupid.
Oh, really?
that that's rated R.
Yeah, I think Bo Burnham
it's just
was
because,
upset about it.
and I heard that they're doing free screenings
There you
so
go,
kids can
Soaring
actually
Trumpet.
watch it because it's the first movie I've ever seen that I was like, you got it. You got what being a kid is truly like.
Yeah. And that's what.
Because guess what? Kids curse.
And yeah, exactly. And like you're like, I mean, I feel like
it's fun to curse.
Yeah, it's super. It's great. It's super fun to curse. It's super dang darn fun to curse, motherfucker. But yeah, like so anyway, whatever. But yeah, so there's this palpable American symbol machine, and there's this campfire scene, this enigmatic thing where they do it. They get to Mardi Gras. They've got all their money intact. Everything. They go through a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, it's insane. What's the funniest thing? Like, this is unintentional, I'm sure. Maybe not. But like, you know how it's like scene and then it's bam, 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 bam,
Them
bam,
driving
like
through
we
America.
showed. And then it's like, oh
Scene.
man, racism. And then it's like, and then there's like a campfire, and then like philosophizing with Jack Nicholson, and then it's like more mostly great music. Then there are like 2 songs in there. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's insane. But anyway, and then it's just like boom, boom, boom. Then they go to Mardi Gras, have this insane acid trip, where everyone's like sobbing. The women are naked. It's not a good trip.
They're going to the whole point.
They pick up 2 hookers and go. And
Yeah.
this is really interesting.
Their dream. That's the dream. They're like, we're gonna go to Mardi Gras, man. We're gonna live it up.
Yeah.
Like, that's the dream. And then they go there and they have a bad acid trip. And
Yeah.
It's not good.
Well, and it's very interesting too. The scene right before the acid trip, and the acid trip. There's all this like specifically Catholic religious imagery.
Yeah.
Like they're breaking bread with each other. There's wine. It's definitely on purpose. So like there's bread, wine. They're in a whorehouse that looks like a church.
Yeah.
They go to have the acid trip. There's a thing where they're like, what do I do? And they go, shut up, man, and take it.
Yeah.
And they give each other almost like communion.
Right.
I mean, it's and then there's like the I wish I didn't realize I read it. I was like, I read it. I was like, oh, that's the Ave Maria. That he's like
cradling.
And he's going like screaming. He's saying this stuff. Yeah, exactly, Spork.
It did, yeah.
And it's this insane thing, and these women who are like, because as they were having these women are just sobbing, and then the Karen Black's saying like, I can't. She's repeating something over and over, and just kind of like, oh, and it's horrible, and they're all just distraught, and they didn't know what they were taking, and the guys were just like, shut up and take it, and then they're just like, oh my, and you just go like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And you just go, they're gone. I wonder what happened to those prostitutes. Yikes. It's like ridiculous.
But what's interesting is that they have one more campfire scene after that.
And this is the... Well, go for it.
Well, so at the very end, and this was debated for a long time after the movie was released, is... What does Dennis Hopper say
So they're sitting there, and they've done it, right? They've done exactly what they set out to do. They've taken... this money from this drug deal, because you kind of go like, oh, hippies, and then you go, wait a second, they bought a bunch of cocaine and got the money for it, and now they're driving, and you're like, this isn't very hippie.
This was before cocaine was known as. Most people didn't know what cocaine was.
Yeah.
And Dennis Hopper said that after this movie came out, he was like, I'm
responsible for the cocaine
he was like,
problem.
I was basically responsible for cocaine becoming popular in America.
And I don't know. I feel like
that might be a little grandiose, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, and so, but whatever. They've done what they set out to do, right? They've put the money in the gas tank. They've not blowing it up, whatever. They've met these people, had these these interactions and these adventures and these philosophical interludes. They went to Mardi Gras, did the thing, got the hookers, had a terrible acid trip, and then they drove out of there. And then they're sitting at a campfire and they're just sitting there, and well, maybe hazard, but I mean it's whatever. The movie made people try it. I don't know, whatever. And Dennis Hopper, they're just sitting there, and Dennis Hopper goes like, by the way, Dennis Hopper, besides looking exactly like Owen Wilson, I think, is just the most that character can be.
Yeah.
I think it just is Dennis Hopper, or was Dennis Hopper at that time.
Yeah,
and he turns the. And it weirdly, because Peter Fonda just looks exactly like Henry Fonda. It's much of a clean cut. And I'm like, you're not a hippie, man. But in truth, he was, I guess.
Yeah.
And he turns to Peter Fonda, this campfire, and he goes like, hey, man, like, we did it, you know? Like, we did it. We went to Mardi Gras, and we got the money, and next is retirement in Florida. And then Peter Fonda goes...
He's like, man, we blew it.
Yeah.
And then he just turns over and he goes to sleep.
Spork, I'm so glad you said that. He says, we blew it. And Dennis Hopper, it goes, you know, Dennis Hopper's like, and they don't say anything more.
That's
but
it.
Dennis
That's
Hopper's
how the
like,
scene ends.
what do you, and then
He's just like, we
he just
blew
goes
it,
over.
man.
And there has been discussion and disagreement and conversation, spirited conversation about what we blew it means. Real quick, yes, I agree, Spork. And the thing is, they did that also in The Graduate. And that's kind of like the thing where it was like, where it would cut to it. And it reminds me of
the back and forth.
It reminds me of the only other time I've ever, or the other time that I've seen it that sticks out of my head is before the Devil Knows You're Dead.
That's what it was.
The Devil's You're Dead had like a sound effect with it. It was like, and I was like, what? It does this weird thing, and you kind of saw it. You got a taste of it there, where we showed the thing where he throws the watch away, and it zooms in and zooms out.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. It was such an experimental movie, and so many things seem normal that I recognize that, but it was like the first one to do these like these different things, right?
Oh yeah,
but I think some of them just don't always.
Rider was just like so beyond ahead of its time, and The Graduate.
Absolutely.
Like they used editing techniques that they were breaking the 180 rule. Like they were doing all sorts of stuff. They just didn't care, or it was born out of unprofessionalism.
Yeah, or not
it could be that too. Or because the fact that this movie was the hit and cultural phenomenon as it was is like a miracle. Because when you just hear about how it got made, it just
I can't believe it got made. Yeah,
you can't believe it got made, and then you can't believe it had the impact that it did.
Yeah, Spork, I thought the same thing. It did seem out of place. It didn't seem tonally to fit with the movie. I don't know why it was like.
Yeah.
The Graduate doesn't exactly do that, but it does do these like quick cuts. And that watching these three movies, the rhythmic, the editing rhythm of all three of these movies of Bonnie and Clyde and The Graduate and Easy Rider, all of them, really Easy Rider only in those quick moments. It just is not the same rhythm that we're used to. It's just not. Yeah. It's quicker, and it's like and it just seems.
But it's almost like intentional to just be like
jarring.
We're gonna do this to make it different.
Yeah, and
especially with Easy Rider.
Off the just a quick tangent because I'm sure we got time for the ending of Bonnie and Clyde. Mm-hmm. Emotionally affected me this time, which it had really not before, and it's that shot. It's just the shot of Faye Dunaway, like when they realize what's happening.
That's the
That's it. I mean, I think that
there's something about Beatty's hair in that moment. It's a little like tousled.
And he goes, huh?
Yeah.
And he looks, and she goes, huh?
Yeah.
And then she goes, huh? And then it cuts to a different shot of her face, and she's going,
yeah.
And she knows, and they know, and it broke my heart. Oh,
it's great. It's beautiful, though.
It broke my heart. Those two scenes, I'm gonna put those two scenes in the Discord because there was a shot. There's just a single shot of Faye Dunaway's face, and then a single, just like 2 frames of Anne Bancroft's face as the room is going dark. That I just think are just I've seen The Graduate before. I was watching it, and I was like, I gotta watch that again. I gotta watch.
Are you talking about because you were showing the scene when they were?
I was showing the wrong scene.
Because I think you're talking about the one in the
hotel room. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the door
then
closed.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Oh, and it's such a...
Yeah, it's great.
And she's just there and she just goes...
Yeah.
And it's boom. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. Agreed, Spork. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hold on.
But so anyway, so I mean, the movie gets
Like
released. It has a massive cultural impact.
Sorry, in my notes. In my notes, I have blah, 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 weird crosscuts. Yeah, beautiful scenery. Yeah, go ahead.
And yeah, it just kind of set this. I guess we kind of already covered it, but yeah, it ended up setting the stage because it made so much money.
Yeah,
like it made an insane amount of money,
and it was just such a.
And it
was a phenomenon in culturally, but also
it essentially it brought what the French New Wave was already doing over in Europe. Like it brought that to America.
Yeah,
and it started it just opened the floodgates.
Absolutely.
And from there on out, we started to get hit after just artistic hit.
And it wasn't like it was the first biker movie. Far, far from it. Biker movies were kind of like a picture. Were like a genre of movie, a cheap genre movie. Roger Corman did a ton of them. Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper had done them.
They'd both done them.
Yeah,
so
Bruce.
Jack Nicholson, like everybody had done them, but they were also considered to be past their prime. Like they were thought to be. They were like, you're doing another biker movie now in 1969.
Yeah, and this one just wasn't about biking. And so with all that said, right? Thank you, Heath. Thank you for popping in that Discord. Yeah, guys, please join the Discord if you're enjoying this. There is a channel specifically called Filmography where we'll be updating and putting things where we can. But that line, right? We blew it. Which is the end of. I mean,
what did you take away from it?
So I had some thoughts, and then I read up on it, and then mixed that together with my thoughts, and now my thoughts sound a little better. No, I just feel like to me it was just kind of like we wasted what we had. We have this freedom, and what did we do? We used
bad acid trip.
We used it to get drugs, to get money.
We got a guy killed.
We just did
they didn't get a guy killed, but they didn't mourn.
I mean, he
Jack
wouldn't have.
Nicholson's
No, they did
at all.
Exactly.
And I felt like that had to have been intentional because he had a profound effect on the movie.
Yeah.
Because he was one of the highlights of the movie for me.
Yeah, he definitely is.
And when he dies, they just move on almost immediately. And I feel like that was almost the point.
It's so, man, and like
because they cut to right after his death, they cut to them in New Orleans.
Yeah.
They're having dinner.
Yeah.
And he's like, he would want this, man.
Yeah.
He'd want us to do this, man.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to justify taking drugs and going to the brothel and hooking up with
which he was like, there's a cool brothel down there, you should go.
Yeah.
And so like they're doing, but you're right, like it is just sort of like this. It does kind of go, this happened, and then we're moving on, and they've moved on, and they're just, and it is this sort of thing. I think it's all of that. Of like we did this whole thing to break away from society, to be our own people, to be free, and we're just as apathetic and we're just doing the basest things we can.
Yeah,
and we're
like,
just
what end? What's the point?
Drugging ourselves out of our minds. So in a way, it's like
we're fighting this culture, but like, what are we going? Like, what are we bringing to it?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like what are we doing that's worth anything? Nothing. We're being free, but to what end? Yeah.
And I think Dennis Hopper was talking about how he was just like I made it a cocaine deal because that was easy money. And I felt like America was everybody going for easy money at the time, and that's our natural inclination is to go for the easy money. But why?
Yeah,
and for what purpose? Once you have it, once you have money, what do you do with it?
So there's subversion in the subversion, even like they're going like there's this whole countercultural thing, but they're also going like, look at. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, there is a true artistic soul, and there is absolutely something that they are definitely saying that Dennis Hopper wanted to say, that Peter Fonda wanted to say, and it's this thing. I mean, and Terry Southern, who there was this whole they didn't give him enough credit, whatever. Thing, It's all three of them, and it's within this whole thing where they're going like. It's exploding onto the screen and going like, look at this hippie culture, look at the youth, look at these people who are living in a way that's different and breaking away and very much kind of, if not celebrating it, at least making it visible, but also going, but it can't just be that. You got to do something. You got to like, otherwise you're vapid and empty too.
You can't just fight against this thing and protest against this thing and not have
take drugs to just be like, see, I'm fighting. It's like, no, you got to do something.
You got to do something. Yeah.
You got to do something. And there was this great quote where it's like they talked to Peter Fonda in like I think 2010 or something. and it's of course as relevant today as ever. But they were like, so what did that mean? Like, what did whatever? And what did we blew it mean? And he was like, I mean, look, of course we blew it. Look around.
Yeah.
You don't think we blew it?
Right.
I mean, he's just talking about America at the time. Like, I mean, that's it. It's just it's a scathing indictment. It's a like, look at yourself. Look at yourself.
Yeah.
America, what are you doing? And it's absolutely on purpose. And
that's what I really did enjoy about it more than anything is just by putting in that one line, it became not just a protest piece of like the old guard.
Screw them. But it's also like,
and it was that, but it was also
but
it's got to be more than that, guys. And it didn't offer up a solution necessarily, but it definitely offered up the notion of it can't just be this thing, guys.
Yeah.
It needs to be about something more.
And that's also the reality of it. I mean, that in that way, it dovetails with The Graduate, which is Ben is feeling alienated, and he knows that this isn't the way, that this money make, like, corporate whatever. He just doesn't feel it in his heart. But what does he do with it?
Right.
What does he do with it? Nothing. He sleeps with it. I mean, they're the same in that sense, and that they're feeling lost. And they go, I know, and they've gone the step of going, this is not me, and this is not right, and there's a new way.
Yes.
But they don't go far enough to go, like, there's the show of the new way, but what is the substance of the new way, right? And there's an end, in the ending of Easy Rider, which is tragic. We just want to,
we should.
Okay, go for it.
So at the end of Easy Rider, like, they have their acid trip, and they're
Absolutely
moving on. They're moving on and continuing to drive down the road across America. And they come across two, redneck type dudes in a truck, and one of them, they see him coming down the highway, and truck's going this way, and bikers are going this way, and one of the redneck guys in the truck, he's like, I'm gonna scare him, and he pulls out a shotgun, and he's just gonna, like,
and he's
gonna fire across the bow type thing,
and it's this sort of thing where they're like in the South or whatever, and it's just like, there are just racist people, whatever, like they're just kind of.
Because throughout the movie, they've been subjugated to a lot of judgment and
they're
stuff.
like long hairs or African Americans or just
that entire hippie culture was viewed by these redneck
anything
people.
That's not whatever. Yeah.
And so they're like, I'm gonna scare him with my shotgun, and they pull up next to Dennis Hopper, and he gets out the shotgun. And I think he was trying to scare him, but he ends up shooting him.
And it's almost like he went over a bump or something. I don't even know what happens, but he shoots him,
But he shoots him. Dennis Hopper falls off his bike. He's out.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's a goner.
Yeah.
Peter Fonda comes back to check on him real quick.
He flips through, screams the bike around, comes screaming back to her. He goes like, oh gosh, and like gets down.
He puts his jacket over him, but he's just like, there's nothing he can do. And
he's like, I'm gonna go get help.
But he's also like, I'm gonna go. I thought, is that what he said? He's
gonna go get help because he's still alive. Because he's going like, I'm gonna get him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tragic and it's shocking. Even though we've already seen one character die, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so he's like, I'm gonna go get help. And he gets on his bike and he takes off down the road, and he comes around a bend, and the truck's turning around because I guess they're going to take care of him now that they know that they're already
in deep. Well, it's very interesting the way they do it because because he like shoots him, and then they're kind of like, look at each other. Yeah. I think it was an accident. I mean, an accident while you were pointing a loaded shotgun at somebody. Yeah. But I don't think he meant to. But they're driving down, and then he just kind of turns and goes like, we got to go back. And in your mind, you could be like, because we got to go help them. And then as they're driving, then the filmmaking is quite good in the sense that like it shows Peter Fonda, it shows them driving, and you go, they're not going to go back and help.
No,
they're going to go make sure no
witnesses
talks about this.
Yeah, and so the final shot of the movie is like you hear a gunshot, and then you see Peter Fonda's America bike fly into pieces,
explode,
and like in a flame, like just in flames, like go off the side of the road, and then it cuts to a helicopter shot. Pulling off of this smoking bike, this fiery bike, and
which is foreshadowed during the acid trip.
Yeah, they cut to a couple shots of it. Yeah,
which is very interesting because they cut to this thing that happens in the movie later.
Yeah, and it pulls up, and then the credits start to roll as this helicopter shot as it moves further and further away. And I took it, and this is me applying my own thing to it, but like I was like, it was it was really wonderful little filmmaking in that moment because the bike goes and it flies off and
you
it's
see
a fiery mess.
And you specifically see the gas tank that has the money in it.
In
It's
flames,
American flag, yeah.
And then it cuts to the helicopter shot, and I took it as almost like his body ascending.
Oh, okay.
You know, as he's watching the death of like
Scription.
America. You know.
Thank you
From down below.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Oyster Hands. Lots and lots of love. Sorry, and I have a specific thought about that. Scription. So, thank you for the subscription. Thank you so much, Oyster Hands, for those 5 months of unbelievable support. Thank you so much, my friend. And that ending in that moment. And I feel more confident because I thought this, and then I feel like I also read it afterwards, like when looking for or something, or came across it and was like, okay, so someone else at least thought this too. Thank you so much, Oyster Hands. Lots and lots of love. Thank you for those 5 months of unbelievable support. To me, that whole thing where we've been following these guys, they're young, they're idealistic, they're lost, they're hippie, whatever, and then they're just mowed down by these establishment guys. Right. To me, it was Vietnam. To me, it was.
Yeah.
It's like it's these young kids being carted off to war.
He's the cop in his cop, mall cop. Yeah.
Sonny, thank you so much.
Scared, didn't you?
Thank you so much, my friend. It's that's it. They're being ground up by this machine, and this other thing was like it's the establishment. The establishment caused Vietnam. The establishment is killing these idealistic young people who are lost and don't know where to go. Right. And they're being carted off to Vietnam and they're dying. And
that does make sense. Yeah.
Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the bits to me. Thank you, Sonny Bits. Thank you so much, my friend. And and it's this ultimately. I mean that just makes it. And again, this is 1969. This is the year of Woodstock. This is the year this stuff is happening, right? I mean, this is all of it, and it's all in this. It's all in the movie. It's all of it. It's just. I mean, it's the beating heart of 1969. It's what it is, and not in the sense, not necessarily. I mean, it's ambivalent. It's also kind of like it's not saying like hippies are great. It's just saying like we're lost.
Yeah.
And then we get killed. Thank you so freaking much, Sonny Bits. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sonny Bits, for that freaking sub. Lots and lots of love. Scription. Thank you for the subscription. The share button new. It's been around for a little while. They changed something. Dude, thank you so much, Sonny Bits. But it's interesting too because.
By the way, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to add because that's.
Yeah, and
you articulate it way better than I could have. That's great.
And it's just like it's so interesting too because they it's such like that's it. It just feels like. And this is something that was new too. Thank you, Sonny Bits, for the sub. Thank you so much for that fresh sub. This is something that was new in the new Hollywood. It was this ability to have endings that were not happy.
To play in the gray area that you weren't allowed because of the code and the Hays Code.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
The Graduate. The Graduate is essentially, like I finished watching that, I was like, oh, I used to think that there's only one great romantic comedy and it's Harry Met Sally, and I was like, The Graduate is like the anti-romantic comedy.
Yeah.
But it is a romantic comedy. But it ends with that. You know, they're just going like, it's the romantic comedy that ends with like, it's not even because other romantic comedies go like, they don't get together.
Yeah, yes,
but they're going to be okay on their own. This is just like,
what do you think? Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Deal with it. Sit here in this uncomfortability, which is the entire movie.
And it could be, it's like, because what if they do stay together, and what if they're just unhappy?
Yeah.
Because they made a rash,
Which is what Mrs. Robinson did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. And so these movies, it's the beginning of movies. That's why we get these, and that's why that's one reason we're in the legacy of this, because there are people who are still trying to make these movies. When you talk to enough film people, and they'll start talking about like, oh, it feels like a 70s movie, and that's a high compliment.
That's a high compliment.
It's these movies because it started in the 60s, these late 60s movies, and then really came to fruition in the 70s with stuff like Dog Day Afternoon, Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, like 5 Easy Pieces. I mean, just these great. I mean, just these fantastic films. And it's because it's the first time movies. I mean, started at least on a large scale or on a significant scale, just going. What are you going to do with that? That's what life does. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And
there's a brilliant. Well, I don't know if it's brilliant, but it's a really good Gene Hackman movie. I think it's called Night Moves, and there's
Knight.
N-I.
Okay, because the other one has like Gregory Hines and.
This is not a Gregory Hines vehicle.
Cool. Yeah.
But this isn't ruining the ending or anything. But there's an ending shot because it's a '70s movie and it's like a crime movie, but the ending takes place on a boat, and by the end, the boat's just going in circles and in circles and in circles, and there is no resolution as to what has happened.
Yeah.
And I read up on it, and they were like, yeah, we had to fight for that a little bit, but we just felt it was important that we not have a conclusion, and it's just, a character on a boat going in circles at the end of the movie, like literally going in circles. And I was like, yeah.
Early Melanie Griffith role, Night Moves.
Dead or alive, you are coming.
Cats from Space. Thank you for the follow. But it's so interesting because to me, like Bonnie and Clyde is an unhappy ending because it just goes. Brrr, but it was like you knew this. You literally knew this was going to happen.
Right.
And then it was just like this is the only way it could happen, and it's tragic. And look at the establishment mowing down these young, beautiful people who were lost and doing weird stuff, but they just wanted to live and have fun and not be shackled by this thing that does have something wrong with it that we need to examine. The Graduate is like, oh, this crazy stuff, and then blah, 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 and then just goes, And then The Easy Rider, to me, you just see that thing happen, and then it pulls away very objectively, right?
Yeah.
And just goes, what a waste.
Yeah.
What a waste. But, I mean, from the beginning, it's like these guys are fighting this thing, and they're right to break away from this thing, at least from their perspective. But then they go do a drug deal with it. They go to a commune where and this was in the, I read, but they're like someone was specifically talking about how like we blew it meant like they had experience with this commune where there were people living spiritually or kindly or off the land. I mean, they're a little whatever, but and Peter Fonda like connects with it, and he's like
he does connect with it, yeah.
But
then he struggles with leaving even a little bit, yeah.
The Killing, I've never seen Kubrick's The Killing.
Yes. Oh, that's great. Yeah, The Killing.
Yeah, and there definitely are movies, and there are definitely movies that
Killing is so far ahead of its time when it was made. Like that's absolutely like a great that could have been made in the 70s. Yeah. Very like almost like a pessimistic.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much Kubrick to it. You know what though?
No.
Just a side tangent. Kubrick gets a lot of shit for not
for being cold,
being cold and clinical, and I'm like, no. That dude has a lot of heart, and that's why his movies work. Yes, he has a cold, clinical approach, but his movies do have heart.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think a movie works without it. Yeah, right. So yeah, and they've just gone through this whole thing, and they've been like commune, and then they've been like. And
they saw the farmer that they stopped to fix their tire, and they're like. And he's like, "You're living off the land, man."
Right.
It's like that's great.
Right. They're doing a thing.
Yeah.
The commune people are doing a thing.
Yeah.
They're doing a thing. They go
so into this town. Maybe that could be it. Like it's like they had all these opportunities
to like do something. Here are people doing things.
Influence things that they were like, "Hey, this is a great thing.
This is a way of life." Yeah.
But we're not doing. Why aren't we doing?
They go. Yeah, and they go and they find.
We're gonna go do drugs in a cemetery with 2 hookers
and get Jack Nicholson killed and 2 hookers killed.
Yeah. Right.
Oh wait, they didn't necessarily die.
They didn't really get him killed, but like.
But they've screwed up their lives a little bit.
They did.
Or at least they're weak.
It's just that they see what is good. They're aware enough to see what's
there
good,
are
but they're not aware enough
to
to apply it to their own lives.
Yeah.
Which is that's a hard truth right there.
Absolutely.
That's very real.
Absolutely, and it's not necessarily. It's not even necessarily criticizing them for it. It's just going like, this is the state that kids are in. They're just like, we want to fight this, but we get caught up in the drama and the whatever and the even the ego trip of being like, we're not that, but then like, what are you? Are you just this? And then some of them get shipped off to Vietnam and wasted, and the whole thing is like, that was our future. Those children were our future.
Yeah.
And this is what is the country doing to itself?
Yeah.
We blew it.
Right.
All of us. I mean, that's the thing. And Sonny Bits, oh dude. Yes, lots and lots of love. Thank you so much, Sonny Bits. Thank you for the sub and for the bits, my friend. Lots of love. Thanks for being here, guys. Thank you for being here. And as we're wrapping up, the other thing is like, it really is interesting. And I had this feeling, and then, or maybe as I was reading, and then I read something specifically kind of about this, but it's like, you look at these countercultural movies, right? And if you look at Easy Rider and The Graduate, like they're both lost, but like, it's interesting that people were like, The Graduate, I respond to that, and it's part of me. And then Easy Rider, I respond to that. Because Ben is like, I mean, just as like I again, I applaud his going for love, and he picked something and he went for it, and now he has to deal with it, whether and analyze whether he was right or whatever. But he's just like, he's just like a hair's breadth away from the establishment. Like he's not doing.
Yeah, right.
He's just there and just lounging in the pool.
That's why I consider
like,
his choice to be the wrong one almost, because I'm like, you're not living a life yet. You're still living in a relatively sheltered existence, and you just chose literally another option that you think might be slightly better for you and less complicated, but it's still the most complicated. It's just like, it's one step removed from this woman you're having an affair with because it's there.
But that's it. Why it's like he's not making choices. Yeah. His choices are coming to him and happening to him, and he goes, okay.
He hasn't lived life. He's just like, this is here in front of me. She's pretty and she likes me, so I'm all in. And I think that's why I'm like, that's not going to last, because you're 20 and you just, even if you think you're in love with her, it's more, I think he's getting off on the idea that he wants to get her back.
I think he just wants connection.
Yes, I agree.
And that's what it is. It's isolation, and this is his first connection. I think it's true.
I think you're right.
And it doesn't necessarily mean they stay together forever.
I think
but
it's misguided, but it is a real connection.
Is it misguided?
Yeah.
I mean, just because of the circumstances?
Yes.
I mean, like, I just feel like...
What he did was appalling.
What? I mean, the affair?
No.
And then the daughter?
Everything post-affair. From the moment he gets out of that car and runs into that house.
You don't choose how you meet the person you fall in love with. You don't choose. It's the worst. It's maybe the worst way, or one of the worst ways to meet the person you fall in love with.
Regardless, he chose to have an affair with a married woman.
Sure.
He chose to run into that house and knowingly ruin that girl's life. And then by direct proxy, the husband's life
and the wife's. I mean,
and then after all that, he then makes a conscious effort to chase after, stalk to the point after resistance, stalk her to the point of essentially kind of wearing her down.
He doesn't wear her.
He doesn't wear her down, but like he's like, I'm gonna live here and be around you until you say yes.
But here's and I see why you're saying that. But listen, she comes up to his apartment.
And I'm not saying she's not into it. I'm not saying that.
And I'm saying the fact that it's...
But I'm saying if he was a good person, he'd walk away.
No.
It's like Leno.
He almost
did.
It's
like Leno not walking away from the Tonight Show when Conan had it. It's like all you had to do, man, was walk away, and none of it, and Conan would still be the host of the Tonight Show.
So it's an interesting point that you make. It is an interesting point that you make that he runs it, because that's the thing that I go, okay, because he runs up to tell her. It's like she's like, I will tell her. And he's like, I don't think you will. And she's like, try me. Gets out of the car.
Yeah.
Runs up and goes, I'm gonna tell her first.
Yeah.
And that is. I mean, you can look at it as he goes, and you're right, because three people's lives hang in the balance, and he's going, I'm going to beat you to it, so that I'm the one who told Elaine, and I still have a chance. It is a selfish thing in the sense that, like, because he's choosing that.
He only did it so he could try to get what he wants,
which is Elaine. I agree, but here's the thing. It is selfish, but if what you're going after is love.
It's so damaging.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the other part. Here's the part two. So that part, I'm like, okay, because he is choosing to destroy three people's lives. I feel like maybe he should have let her break it to her daughter and her husband, and then kind of whatever.
He should have just walked away.
But he loves her. He really
Who
truly
cares?
does. He does. I care. He loves her. But listen.
But does he?
Yes.
Okay.
Or at least
he
is as convinced.
If he truly
he is
loved
connected
her, though,
to someone finally.
and he knew what he did, then he would still walk away.
Not necessarily.
He's trying to fucking have his cake and eat it too. That's what he's doing. Like literally.
He's trying to have his cake and then the cake's daughter's cake as well. But no,
Does he though?
No,
he doesn't.
No,
he doesn't love her. He thinks he loves her, but he doesn't.
I think it's the one point of human connection.
First love.
It's
that's the idealism that's there, and
And
it's why he makes the decisions he's made. But they're not the correct decisions.
I don't know that you can say that.
How are you justifying what he does?
He's in love.
But he ruined an entire family. So that makes
So
it
did
okay?
What? An older woman
And an innocent husband.
No, an older woman.
And a daughter's life.
Now they both made a choice. They ruined a family's life. They did together. And
Yes.
Bancroft and he did. Then through that crazy situation, he met the only other human he's ever really connected with and is in love with, and he feels like that is strong enough. That is a strong enough connection for him and possibly for her to fight for. And I'm not going to fault him for that. Now, here's the thing. He does go and sits there and stalks her and waits her. And well, he doesn't stop. He just sits there. He's there. And he's like, he does stalk her. He watches her. Blah, blah, blah. But she comes in. She comes and finds him.
Yes.
And she goes, I want you to go. And what does he start doing? He starts packing. He does it. The instant he knows.
He doesn't.
Yes, he does.
He
starts packing.
She screams when they start talking
Right.
about the husband, like what they were doing.
Yeah.
He starts describing like how she seduced him. She screams. Landlord comes up. He tells him, "I want you out," and then he starts packing. And that is a very significant difference.
That's true. But
he is dejected because he is feeling sorry for himself in that moment. That's what makes it selfish.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
okay.
he feels bad for himself in that moment, and not the girl on his bed who's going through a horrific thing because of him.
Right. Exactly. I agree with that. I agree that yes. Yeah. But. And it is true that you're right. It is. He tells me to get out. But he's packing, and she's like, "What are you going to do?" And he's like, "I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to go." And she says, "I don't want you to leave."
Yeah.
And he goes, well, what do I do? Which to me indicates he was going to leave. Like throws him. It's not. There is not a point where she goes, no. And he goes, I'm not listening to you. There's not.
Wait, there's not a point that he says that?
Where she says, go away, no. Absolutely not. I want you out of my life. And he doesn't listen to her.
She is confused.
I don't think that's giving her enough credit. I think she has the same thing. I think she's in love with him. Believe in love.
But the whole point in the way the movie frames the idea of youth is that even if those feelings are true in that moment, what they're feeling, I think it's intentionally by design. They're supposed to be misguided feelings that are ultimately a mistake.
I don't think so. I think so.
I think so.
I think
that's the whole point of the movie is that like it's an analyzation of being young and what you go through when you're young. And disillusionment and idealism and all the things that come in between that and wrapped up in this whole story.
Hundreds of years ago in Romeo and Juliet. Possibly. But here's the thing. So
I got a point over here, by the way.
Is that what that is? I didn't get a point. We've been talking for 45 minutes.
Yeah, Spark agrees.
That's fine. You guys can all agree. But here's the thing. Because you're saying the movie is about misguided youth.
Yes.
I'm saying the movie is about.
I'm saying it's about youth in all facets.
I think it's about. Feeling isolated. I think it's about feeling disconnected from the world.
I think that's absolutely.
But I think that is.
But I also think it's how you, because I know I went through that whole phase too.
Sure.
It's how when you're young,
what do you do with
do
that?
feel that, and then as you grow older, you learn your place in the world.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm not saying...
it's all a matter of, like, it's from the viewpoint of Ben where those feelings for him are real, and they are real.
Yeah.
So when you say that he's in love with her, I'm saying that, yes, he thinks he's in love with her, but I don't think it's genuine love. The type of love that when you get older and you really find it, you're like, oh, that's what the real shit is.
But it can develop into that. It can be like
maybe if it's one of the rare occurrences when you're 20 years old and under those circumstances it somehow magically works after all that stuff.
It's magic when it works anytime.
But then you have that last shot, which is so telling.
This is what the magic.
Because if the point of the movie was to say love is true and like they are true in their feelings, it would have ended on a happy note.
So this is true. You're thrown into the adult world and no one tells you what to do. That is what I think that's what I think the movie is.
Wait,
so
what was it?
She's saying you're thrown into the adult world and no one tells you what to do. Absolutely, right?
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's it. Like literally the
totally.
deep end of the whatever.
Right, yeah.
But I think so. We just and it's great. It's very interesting. Because
where the idea of like a romantic idea of love doesn't exist really. In this world.
Here's the thing. I think Ben I think maybe because you're a kid and you have these idealized things, right? And then they're kind of broken a little bit, or you're disillusioned of them, for better or for worse, as you grow older. I think it's about being in a world that doesn't reflect the heart that you thought it did when you were a child, right?
Yes.
It's being disconnected, and I think that is I think that the theme of disconnection is at the heart of it, is borne out by all the visual, like the sunglasses, the book, like I mean he's clearly disconnected.
So
from
you
everything.
think it's him grasping at like that last
I think in a world
notion of love,
in a world where what you've been taught, like you've done everything right, you get into. I remember feeling this, like getting to the end of college and being like, okay, I've done everything.
Right.
Am I? So like today I'm in college and tomorrow I'm not, and the rest of my life starts tomorrow and it's gonna be a different person tomorrow. No, of course not. And it's being out there, and in a world where what you thought was true may not necessarily apply. You look at what you've done, you don't feel connected to it. You look at your parents, you don't feel connected to them. You look at the world, you don't know what to do because you don't want to do what your parents do or anyone around you do, but you don't want to do what you have been doing because you're just doing because you thought it was the right thing, and you have to start going, what do I know? Who am I?
Forge my path, but what is my path?
In a world where you don't know anything and feel disconnected to anything, what is the thing that you look for? Love is it. He finally finds a connection with someone else who feels the same way. Bam, right? There we go. And so that love, that finally, this is it. This is the light. The world makes sense again. That thing that I felt as a child is true because it's here, and the world doesn't make sense, but we make sense to each other, and we're alone against the world. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna scrap and claw for it for the rest of the movie, no matter what that means. Okay. And he does it, and he does it, and he does it, and he gets it, and they run out, and it's elation, and it's the beginning of everything, and they sit down and goes, we did it, I did the right thing, bam, and then life goes, or did you? It's still life. Life is complex. Life is complex.
That's cool.
And so you're left going, even that, because it's going doubt, surety, doubt.
Yeah. Okay.
Credits, and you go, oh
I can
gosh.
find that. Yeah.
Like to me, that's it, and that doesn't. I don't.
Lobro.
All right. Is surety a word? Yes, but it's not spelled that way. It's surety.
Where I can at least tip my hat.
Oh yeah, same. surety.
He's the copinest cop, mall cop. Yeah, you got scared, didn't you?
Thank you so much, Trix Pontino. Cactus Jacker. Oh, dude, lots of love. Thank you for being here. Good night. I think that final shot of them on the bus shows that they don't love each other. See, but I disagree. But cool. I mean, like, I'll totally listen.
Continue to read
but
what he says.
They think they're supposed to,
and now they have each other and they don't know what they're supposed to do. I think
they
that's
just.
it.
I think it's
But
them.
that's what
I
you're
think it's
saying.
them doubting that. I think it's them having a go, like going like, I just got.
He
It's
made
almost
a
like it's buyer's.
drastic
It's almost
decision.
buyer's remorse. It's that moment of buyer's remorse where you go like, Oh,
But now we have to live
the
up
adrenaline came down
Yeah,
for a second.
and now
We
they
just
have to
changed
live
lives
up to-
irrevocably.
Yes, and now they have to live up to these massive expectations that they
These
put on-
ideals.
Yes.
These ideals, because that's it. Like, that's it. The world, and that's
So
it.
we really are coming at it.
It's-
We're saying ultimately the end of the movie. We're saying the same thing.
It's like, yes, it's these people. It's all of these. Well, not really Bonnie and Clyde, but like Bonnie and Clyde just has a spirit. But Easy Rider and The Graduate are people breaking away, going, "This is not truth. This is not real. This is not love. This maybe. This maybe. This.
And again, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying that he doesn't believe it because look, I have to agree. I've done stuff like that when I was younger.
Great.
Like I've done things where like I was so sure in the moment that this was the thing to do, and then you do it and you're like, oh man. And then I think that's why
absolutely,
because like I've made decisions romantically, professionally,
Absolutely.
where you're so sure of it in the moment, and then you do it and you're like, oh shit, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
That wasn't the right call. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You like it's the passion. It's like, honestly, it's.
But you still you feel full conviction for it. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like going.
You've made me love the movie.
I love this movie.
Like
and
I was a little hazy on the second half.
This is great. This is great.
I really love it now.
This is great. This is great. I
really
love.
broke it down.
This is what it's about. I love it. But see, and it's like that. It's like an argument that begins, and then you go, "What? No, I believe this from my core," and you bear down and you power through, and then the other person goes like, "Okay," and then you go,
yeah.
What?
"Well, I don't want you to be
I had all
like,
these notes.
is it worth?" Or it's like, yeah, or it's like, are you gonna go be sad? You don't have to listen to me. I was just taken by my passion.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, this happens to be something I do truly believe, but I'm just saying, it's like, yeah. The Graduate is your 52nd favorite film. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the bits that you give to me. Thanks, Trix Pontino, for the 300 bits, my friend. Lots and lots of love. Hey, man. I don't know what the heck we're gonna do for next time.
I think
Should we do?
we should.
Should we do Nicholson? No.
I think
I don't know.
that we'll need to do
Yeah.
what we did. We discussed,
talk about
but I think we're both on the same page. I think at least one of them has to be 5 easy pieces.
Sweet. I mean, I think it's 1970, so it follows
Do we just
pretty
wanna
much
do
on the heels.
one? I
So
feel like
and
we can dig into one, dude. Like,
Yeah.
we can.
The
try
thing is,
to do
with
two
2
again.
weeks, we can do 2. I want
Okay.
the one
If you
thing.
want to do 2 and just make these longer, that's cool.
Yeah. What is it? Oh, it's 116. Taxi Driver. That's a little ways off. We will do Taxi
We
Driver. Oh, Taxi Driver is going to be a heck of a thing. I would love to. I only have 3 streams as it is. I don't know. We don't want to do a 5-hour talk show. We've done that before.
What is this? What are we doing? 3 hours?
Now
Three and a
it is
half?
now 3 hours. A little less.
Okay, so 3 hours for 2 movies.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Because that's great for me.
Sure, I'll do 2.
I just want to make sure we have enough time.
I think
to
5
cover
is-
all. I don't want to rush through it. You know.
I think 5 easy and it fits in with this it dovetails perfectly with this isolation thing. It's such a great movie. It's such a great performance. It's such a great.
I feel like
it's
that's
just that
one
moment.
that
Yeah.
It would be exciting if some people
Yes.
on here, if you guys haven't seen it, you get to watch it and then we can all discuss
Dead or
it
alive,
together.
you are coming
That
with
would be
me.
so cool because it is such a great movie.
Kelsey YFN, thank you for the follow. Yes, and these are movies that I just love. I love movies.
Me too.
Give me a hug.
Hey, I love.
This is great. This is great. I love you guys. I love you. I love movies. These movies are great, and I love them. But like, now that we've gotten some of the landmark, some of the like, whatever. Like, I love these are great movies, and I thoroughly enjoyed talking about them, and watching them. But now that these are out of the way and things open up a little bit, like 5 easy pieces, like. Oh, guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool,
guys.
man.
Oh, guys.
I'm excited.
Oh, guys. And 5 Easy. And it's great because it's like.
I'm excited to watch it.
It's
Watch
Rafelson. I think it's Rafelson.
Bob Rafelson directing.
He directed it.
Yeah.
And Rafelson and Schneider are the guys who, with this other, they started Raybert, which became BBS, which did Easy Rider. And they are very, very important because they were the first in this. If Easy Rider kicked open the door, then BBS allowed them to, because they were like Schneider was an offshoot from Columbia.
Something like that.
Something.
Like,
they were like, I think he got fired. Rafelson got fired
too. Yeah. Like,
and Schneider was like, I'm gonna get into the family business. Screen Gems, which is still around, I think.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're gonna make a small thing, and we're going to adopt the auteur theory, and we're gonna start giving full freedom to these artists.
We're gonna support directors with their vision.
And so it took a young upstart studio giving money to young upstart people.
And they also did Last Picture Show, which is
a
perfect.
Let's
film.
do that one.
I almost feel like. Do you think there's gonna be enough time to do? That's
Last Picture Show,
a seminal film. Like, and there's so much to unpack in that movie.
We
could do that in that could be.
I really need to revisit it because I've watched it, and then
Okay, I've got that one. You should just come over and watch it.
Okay, but I've got it too.
Oh, okay.
We'll put them both on.
Okay.
Watch it on two. I'll be like, are you seeing the same movie I am?
Let's put them like on opposite sides, and we'll just face away from each other.
Ordering in a diner scene, yeah. I want you to hold it. You guys know, or some of you do. So, guys, like oh man.
Yeah, we got good stuff coming up. Yeah,
we're really good stuff. This is 5 easy pieces. Like, it's just so exciting to me because if you don't know why Jack Nicholson, this is why Jack Nicholson.
Ooh.
So we'll talk about it and we'll check it out. I'll get it. I'll hit you up on the Twitters and the Discords. But the sources say things are strong. That one of them will be 5 easy pieces.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm excited. Gosh, there's so many good movies. Guys, I love movies. I want you to love movies. If you love them, do whatever. We too, and you're already behind, haven't done any homework. It's fine. That's the thing is you can jump in anytime and you can watch them, whatever. It's fine.
Heath, have you seen 5 Easy Pieces?
Read this if you want to. It's great.
Because it's great.
It's great.
I'm excited. I haven't seen it in a couple of years, so I'm excited to watch it again.
It's been a little bit. Yeah, 5 Easy Pieces is great.
Ooh,
and it really
for a treat.
And it's a slow burn. A lot of these movies are slow burn.
It's a slow
and
burn, but
it
it's
just builds to a pacow.
I watched it even when I was younger, and when I was like 12 through 15, I was watching all the classics.
Oh, great!
And I watched it when I was like 16 for the first time, and a lot of it was still kind of going over my head, but it still hit.
Yeah,
like it hit when it hits.
Yeah,
and it was beautiful.
And it's just so crazy because look. Like, I mean, there are these sordid tales of drug abuse and just sleeping around and everything that moves and just walking around and being like these macho, like cock of the walk, like whatever. Just really, really horrific stories. And you just go, man, gosh. And then it's just fascinating to me because you go, oh, these they sound like just these poser dudes who suck. And then you see the art that they produced and it's beautiful. It's you just go, thank you for saying that and giving that to me. And you're like, what is the disconnect?
It's like so earnest,
yet
so subtle
and so vulnerable,
and
so not like all these hyper masculine things, but it's not that.
And it can be sentimental, but it never everything is just so perfectly, artfully displayed.
Yeah,
like artfully displayed, and like when you really think about it, it is crazy because filmmaking in the history of art is very new.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like where they were in the 70s, it's like I'm surprised half of them knew how to properly work a camera, much less like know how to make these incredibly artful films where they knew how to I think the name of the game was restraint.
Yeah.
Because they could hit all these amazing emotional beats and stuff, but they never overplayed their hand.
Yeah.
And they never tipped too much. That's why, Cuckoo's Nest is, incredible to me. And yet it plays it just right. It never tips its hand too much.
Guys, will you put a 1 in chat if you've never seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, please?
We gotta do it.
We're definitely doing it.
We got to.
Because if you've not seen that movie, And if you've not seen Dog Day Afternoon, which is where people go cuckoo's nest, and I go, yes, Dog Day Afternoon. It's because it's this.
I'm excited just because you keep hyping, and I've seen it many times, and I love it. You talk about it with such reverence that I'm excited to revisit it again.
It does hold up. I don't care. It's fantastic.
Oh,
it's
it does.
So great.
I mean, I've seen it.
I love
the past couple of years. Yeah,
it's almost uncategorizable. It's a movie that, like, if Blockbusters were still around, dating myself, like, there's not a place to. I worked at Hollywood Video.
Wait, no. We're not
right.
To do that. Let's bond. Let's bring it together.
Yeah.
Whoa.
See, like, Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, they get together.
So, like, was Hollywood Video the cooler?
No.
You guys wore bow ties, right?
We wore full. Well, different. At first, it was like a red cummerbund and a red thing, and then they came out with like a thing that was crazy. It was like a black bow tie, and then a vest that clipped in the back that had like a clapper and popcorn and like
that's cool. You had
the Hollywood sign, and I wore it to prom. And my girlfriend at the time, I mean, let's be honest, she was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like,
she had the look on her face that Catherine Ross had at the end of The Graduate.
Yeah,
oh, all right.
And she was like, I expected nothing else. And then we had to leave because, never mind. I was about to like abuse my platform and be like, this weird thing happened. Whatever. Anyway, hey, listen. You. Thanks for hanging out and talking about movies with us. Like, that is, like, seriously, man, you know, so in The Sandlot, where he goes, Benny would play baseball, and he's a rain shine, blah blah blah, doesn't whatever. That's like me. I will. You are coming with me. Hoon Maruk, thank you for the follow. I love talking about film so much, and I just love it, and I love talking about it with you.
Yeah,
I love talking about it with you. I love sharing this. I can't believe that. I will do this as long as I'm able. You, Mike Dynamo! Mike Dynamo! Guys, hearts in chat for Mike Dynamo, frontman of the unbelievable hypnotic fist technique, and a guy who went with me in college to drive to see Snatch. We skipped class. I don't recommend it.
Snatch, fucking great movie.
Yeah. Oh, I got a shirt. I got a Snatch shirt coming, and I'm going to show you.
Really?
I'm really excited.
I remember seeing that and watching the boxing sequence at the end.
Oh,
and being like, and like that genuinely changed. I was like, oh shit, that's
amazing.
Yeah. And it really opened my mind to editing that boxing sequence at the end with the Oasis song playing over it.
That's Oasis?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Fucking in the bushes. That's what it's called.
Oh, you're talking about a different boxing sequence.
I'm talking about the last one with all the fast freeze frames and then like the dog sounds as they're like.
Gosh,
we got to take the.
We got to get to watch Snatch again. We got to get to watch Snatch again.
Oh, yeah.
Do I own Snatch? I need to skip class to see Snatch. No, I didn't. Oh gosh, and we.
I saw that. That's great.
Yeah, it was great. I saw it. We went to the video arcade and played some video games, and then we went to see Snatch.
I saw that at my old theater that had like 3 screens. Crappy theater. I miss it.
Hey, real quick. The other thing, I can't. I know that we were just talking about this. Hey, man, what's up? How are you doing?
You sounded broken for a
We
second.
blew it. I can't believe that, like, it just really strikes me that, again, that these dudes who were just doing this crazy stuff, like, were making these incredibly heartfelt, sensitive movies that are not, like, again, are not, like, hyper-masculine. It's about these sensitive dudes, but then off camera, they're doing this, not like off the set, they're doing this insane, treating people terribly.
You're coming with me.
Mace Troney, thank you for the follow. But also, like, it's just insane. Like, to me, like, Dennis Hopper makes this movie with this metaphor about how it's a waste, and it's a waste, and don't waste your time. And he's zonked out of his mind on drugs doing it. And just what, like, I guess it's just like that's where all of his heart was going.
Well, it's just
I
like
don't know.
what I love about the movie
really.
is you can tell like there's an anger to it that's told in a beautiful way, but like there is a real. That's why I keep saying raw, because it just has this. Like he had, and I don't even like. Look, it took a lot of people to make that a cohesive film.
Yeah.
I'm not giving Dennis Hopper full credit for making that movie because he did get in his way a lot.
Absolutely.
But I
point.
think he had enough passion and enough vigor inside of him that he was able to at least get it on film.
Yeah.
And then he had a lot of other talented people who knew what his intent was that formulated and put it together along with his help, but you know.
It's just the way that they describe these guys, it's just like I'm just kind of like, it's like if you went to school with like an asshole and he's like a bully or he's just like a popular dude who suck. Not that popular people suck. I'm just saying like he was like one of those stereotypical popular people who did all the drugs and screwed all the girls and like treat people terribly.
Yeah.
And then he's going to give like a presentation in class and you're like, all right, this asshole, I'm ready. And then it just breaks your heart with how beautiful and heartfelt it is. And you go, what?
But that's where a lot of people just put their
amazing.
shit, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've definitely done a 5-hour talk show before. Hey, as we're closing,
I love you, dude.
I love you too, man. What's a movie that you love that you feel like everyone else hates? What's a movie that is more yours because people don't like it?
Oh, that's a thinker.
And we can save it till next time.
I might need to save that till next time.
Guys, think about that. What's a movie that you love? And I don't have an answer right now.
I was going to ask if you have
I don't really have one. Showgirls, nice.
That it's more or less universally not liked by people.
And it doesn't have to be like, it can be like everyone hates this, but I love it. Or a movie that just like you love it more because it feels like yours because people either don't talk about it or passed it over or actively are like, this is terrible.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know. Put your answers in Discord. B movie. Really? I'm not.
That was such a genuine response.
I'm not judging.
He said B movie. He goes, really? He goes,
really? I'm not judging
you did
that.
everything that you were just preaching about. It's like all those people are judging you.
Here's why though.
Like telling you not to like that movie. Really?
Yeah.
You couldn't help it. It just came out of you.
Here's why. No, the reason I say that is that B movie is like a memed movie. People like, I know what that seems like. I know. Vape Dad.
It's so guttural. Just like there's a reaction.
But tell me, Vape Dad. You know what I'm talking about. Are you saying it for the memes, or do you really love B movie? If you love B movie, here's the thing. This I heard this about B movie, and then was like, I have to watch B movie. Apparently, B movie. Have you seen it?
No.
Apparently, B movie is a retelling of The Graduate in the world of bees.
What?
That is what I heard.
Wow.
See, it's a meme in it. Yeah. So also, I love Vape because he's from England.
Uh-huh.
And I think at one point maybe I started going like, oh right, it's something like it's just talking like Dave. And now he was like, I think at one point he said in it, and I was like, will you please just say in it at the end of everything? And he's like, yes, I will, you stupid idiot American. Silk Thread do follow. Thank you for the follow. Can anyone confirm that is
coming with me?
Having seen The Graduate and or B movie, can you confirm that the B movie is a remake of The Graduate? It told in B.
I'm just trying to think of a movie now.
Slick Eric, thank you for the follow. Yeah, and Heath, I saw you said Batman vs Superman is definitely a movie that I like that everyone hates, but like it's not a movie that like
I liked Man of Steel.
I like Man of Steel. Something of favorite.
No, everyone hated that. I thought it was just fine.
It was good.
And I don't have it.
I love
Superman. So
I love the. You know what?
I don't hold Superman in high regard as a character.
He's the best of us.
He's boring. He's so boring.
But he's the best of us. He's boring because he's the best
Batman's
of us.
the best of us.
Yeah, but who you want to hang out with?
Batman.
No, because Batman is going to be an asshole and weird and awkward, and he's going to go hang out down the hall. He's like, Alfred made some lasagna. I'm going to go down the hall. And
why is he going down the hall? Oh,
because he's like not going to. Can you imagine having a conversation with? Like, I love Batman, but Batman's just like.
What do you think Superman's going to talk about?
Superman is like.
Oh, he's gonna be talking to cardboard.
Superman, yeah, of course, but Superman is gonna be like, Are you comfortable? Okay, cool. What do you want? Like what kind of
Ew,
food?
even worse.
I know.
Oh, what
He's
are
gonna
those
fly to
guys?
Antarctica and pick you flowers and fly back and be like, here, and you're gonna be like, Superman, I don't know.
He's gonna be one of those like attentive like people when you go visit someone. There's like, you got everything. You good? You got everything? You're like, yeah, I know how to live in a house.
But he's the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, but there's nice, and then there's too nice.
But
and then
who do
there's
you want?
Superman.
Who do you want on
and
your?
And then there's Superman 64.
Who do you... Wait a second. Okay, that makes sense in a weird way. But here's the deal.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Kirisades, thank you for the follow. I believe in the best in humanity. Jeff, how about you? Yeah, exactly.
I don't wear my underwear outside. So...
Superman would be nice all the time. Superman would be just, yeah. But who do you want on your team in a fight?
Batman.
Yeah, Batman. But
oh, you mean?
But
just
who do you want? Because of Superman, man.
That's what. Yeah, that's true.
So Batman is like.
But that's not what I said.
Yeah, I know.
if I'm going into a fight, I'll take Superman.
Yeah. You're like, I think I like Batman better than Superman. I'm like, oh yeah, who can beat up a dinosaur? It's like, all right.
I'll take.
Superman, fire up the girl, cost a couple Metropolis honeys and Pilatus retro games. You guys are gonna kick it. Yep. I mean, I don't know about the Metropolis honey. I mean,
I'll take Max Fleischer's Superman.
Oh.
Because then he'll be pretty to look at.
He will be, but he'll also be like, well, you sure you want to do that, Jeff? Oh, Jeff, I didn't know, because he's always like mansplaining Lois. And then he's always Clark-splaining.
Oh, but then he'll be kind of like,
don't Clark-splain me, Kent.
He'll be like ignorantly racist probably at some point. And I'll be like, ugh.
Yeah, because you're really doing Max Fleischer Superman.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, that guy. That we should stop him. You're like, Superman, it's 2018. Yeah. Like, you shouldn't have done it back then, but you shouldn't do it now. Are you sure? He looks like he might be going to an opium den. No, Superman.
I was trying to figure out a way to say a joke without being racist.
I just did it. I just did it without, not without being racist, unfortunately. Brandon Routh, Superman was one of your first movie crushes. Interesting. It's been the final 2 minutes to the last 90 minutes. Typical Lobro. He was in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite Brown and Routh
he's
role is the vegan superpower.
I thought
hey, Allie, how you doing?
I enjoyed that movie, Superman Returns. Maybe that could be one of them. A lot of people gave that movie a ton of shit.
Sure.
And I enjoyed it. I thought it was very well made. He
was a soap star before he got the Superman role? He's also a regular on the #1 show on TV Legends of Tomorrow. Are you going to go on a TV Legends of Tomorrow screed? I hope so. Like Superman Returns. Interesting. I saw it and
I
it
would
was
like
fun.
honestly, I would like to revisit it to see if it still holds up.
I feel that way about a lot of movies.
I have to say that because it's Bryan Singer. We all know what's going on with Bryan Singer. Not good stuff. Do you not know? We'll save that for another time.
Did something happen recently?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Really? Gosh darn it! Every time someone there was that whole period where it was like every time I saw a celebrity's name on Twitter, I was like, are they dead or did they?
He's had a laundry list of like stuff against him, but for a long time. So maybe it isn't recently.
Yeah.
But I know he got taken off Bohemian Rhapsody at the end.
He was doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, weird. Lobro, my movie group is watching Battlefield Earth next, and I still don't know if it's all a joke. It is all a joke. There's no way that that's not a joke. Even if they really like Battlefield Earth, which I've never seen and cannot, it's definitely as a joke.
I saw that in the theater.
Good for you.
Yeah. That's all I got.
I'm not giving it crap. I've never seen it.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh,
because we're gonna do that. We're gonna do a series of the worst movies ever, and be like, are they really that bad?
Oh, it's up there. I mean, it's earned
Ishtar
its place.
is not.
No.
Waterworld is not.
No.
Howard the Duck is weird.
Yeah.
The Wiz, unfortunately, as much as I don't want to say it, I love Sidney Lumet.
It's not good.
It's Conquering Galaxies. Someone's showing on Twitter they're either dead, out as a sexual abuser, they have a new movie concert tour, whatever. Let's pull for that third one. Yeah. Shortly after which they will become one of the other. Probably about that order like it too. Cavemen to jet pilots and yes.
And then Dutch angles for days. They were not.
I have not seen it, and I know that
every
somehow.
shot is like this or this.
Yeah. I wonder who the.
And you know it's a Scientology movie.
I do.
Yeah.
Which, you know
Which
what?
kind of makes me want to rewatch it within that context.
Sure. This is a perhaps unpopular opinion. Let's get into this now. Let's go home right now. Let's
you
get
tell
out of
me.
here. No, I just think that. No.
No, do it.
Nah, bro.
Do it.
I think it's unfair how much people bag on Scientology, not knowing much at all about Scientology. It's just a religion, and if people in specific instances where people are hurting other people, the whole thing where people
there is shady shit.
See, but people go, it was started by L. Ron Hubbard, who wrote a thing, and he specifically said over here that he started it for money. I don't care if it's something in your life that you feel connects with you and makes you be kind to other people. I don't care.
Oh,
do
that's
it.
fine. I'm
Yeah.
a big believer in that too.
Don't do this.
But they have levels that you have to pay for.
I don't care. Look, man, people make their own choices. That's fine. As long as you're not hurting somebody or hurting. What's a cult? What's a cult besides numbers?
They're taking advantage of a lot of people. Like a lot of people who are lost and confused. They're like, we got the answer for you. And they're like, oh, I do feel good. And they're like, all right, well, that's going to be $1,000. And then.
Look, man, I'm saying people make their own choices. And cults. You said cults are bad, but what is a cult besides what is the defining characteristic of a cult besides number? This is not something we should get into. I'm just saying. Look, man.
I think you do need to watch the documentary on HBO because it's pretty eye opening.
Sure.
It's not great.
Sure.
I'll just say that much.
Sure.
I understand the logic that you're saying, and I agree with that. If it's good for you,
I'm just saying.
great.
I'm just saying
and
specific.
It's not harmful to others, then great.
I'm not saying leave people alone who are specifically hurting people. I'm just saying as a blanket thing where people go like, this is a religion, this is a religion, this is a religion, this is a religion. Scientology is a joke. I'm like, if there are people who are practicing it in a way that works for them and is not hurting someone,
it's not
off.
something that you can do privately though. Like, it's not like you can have a personal relationship with L. Ron Hubbard and then be left to your own devices. Like, it is a money-making scheme. Because you got to get to your levels.
They take a collection plate at church. I mean, like.
Yeah, but you can still, like, if you believe in God, you can have a person. You don't like. Well, I don't know, but this took a weird turn.
It did because we talked about Battlefield Earth. Yeah, we do not need to. Something. All religions are. Yeah. I'm just saying. Look, man. As long as you're not hurting yourself or somebody, do what you like. That's all I'm saying. Hey. Now let's pretend that none of that happened. Remember all that good stuff that we talked about? We're gonna cut this off.
Oh yeah.
I just don't.
Say it.
I don't understand why it's a controversial opinion to say is if you're not hurting yourself or someone else, live your life.
I agree, but that's not what Scientology is. I understand in terms of Christianity saying something like that. I have issues with organized religion as a whole.
Sure.
That's my issue.
Yeah,
I'm a big believer in what you just said. If you have a personal relationship with whoever your higher power is, and then it's good for you and it makes your life better and it works and you're not pushing on other people.
Yeah, or if you don't have a higher power, I don't care. Like do what you like.
But that's not what Scientology is. There's some gangster ass shady shit.
Because you saw the documentary.
That and I read a 12-page investigative report by the New York.
Sure.
Some reputable whatever, but
sure. And if there are actionable situations within that, I think they should absolutely be taken care of. If people are being hurt,
people try to leave and they won't let them leave.
Yes,
like that type of stuff.
But I'm just saying there are because same thing.
And I have issues with that too.
The same thing happens to Mormonism.
Again, it's not just Scientology. It's across the board.
Yeah. And no. What I'm saying is like wow. How did we? This is all me. This one's all me.
Yeah.
This one's all me. But because I've met for some reason I've met more Mormons than I think I would have for some reason. I feel like I've met more than my share of Mormons.
Okay.
And almost to a person, the kindest people I've ever met.
Oh yeah.
Now I don't know what their personal beliefs or whatever. I'm saying Mormonism, people go like, it's a cult. And I'm like, whoa, there are documented situations that need to be dealt with. But if someone, I just have an issue in general with someone going, I believe in this, and then people going, that's a joke. I believe in that. That is invalid. But if you are Catholic, Presbyterian, Muslim, whatever, like they're like, these are okay, and these religions are jokes because they're newer or smaller, and you know, anyway.
Yeah, that's very stupid. Okay, you got out of it.
You can totally, Emerald Al, you can totally say you think all religions are a joke. There's nothing wrong with saying that. There you go. Sure, whatever. Yeah, okay. Anyway, what? Let's not talk about that.
You got out.
What did they say?
Made sense.
What did they say that the three things you're not supposed to talk about in polite company are politics, religion, and Batman versus Superman? And we've hit two of the three. The movie is just about anyway. We started talking about Battlefield Earth. We will excise
the Scientology
this.
documentary is called Going Clear.
On to politics now, yeah. That movie like people Passion of Christ. Interesting.
Here's the thing. I love I think every single movie Mel Gibson has directed.
Yeah.
Apocalypto, Passion of the Christ.
Apocalypto.
Man Without a Face, Braveheart.
He directed Man Without a Face?
Oh, yeah.
Hacksaw Ridge?
Hacksaw Ridge. I dug it.
Okay. Look, man.
I did.
Okay, good.
I really did.
You know what hit me
he knows
really?
How to make super machismo stuff that has an emotional undercurrent to it, and he does it better than anybody.
So that you know what really, honestly, weirdly, the part about that hit me was the kind of scroll. What am I saying? Not scroll. Whatever. The thing at the end where it talked about like when it shows him succeed in a thing.
Yeah.
And then it tells the numbers.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like for like the rest of the movie, I was kind of like, okay. And then that happened and just those lines of text. And I went,
see, that's interesting because like when I saw Spotlight.
No, Spork. No. I mean, okay.
When I saw Spotlight. I ended up seeing it twice because I loved it so much. And I loved the film.
Say Spotlight.
But Spotlight. But
what a jackass I am. Sorry.
But the ending, because they had the title cards of how many people.
Yeah.
And so on a completely different, like more depressing note, but and they just kept coming. It was just church after church after parish after parish, and I was just like, holy mother of Moses.
Yeah.
Spotlight.
Oh, there's Spotlight. You got Spotlight over here. Spotlight. It's perfect.
Fucking firefighter.
Yeah,
I have a more departed version.
Just give me a fucking sandwich. Stop being a fucking prick.
These fucking firefighters over here, they're fucking. Just...
You put your fucking sandwich on fucking sandwich layaway, all right? Fuck you. Oh my god.
Tales from the crypt.
Stop pulling the mic away from Jeff. Oh, sorry. It must be entirely subconscious.
I'm bringing over my own mic. Fuck you.
Fuck you, buddy. Fuck you, you fucking
you, body.
All right, that's all gone. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the bits that you gave to me. None of what I was saying were quotes. No, that's not true. A significant amount of what I was saying were quotes. All right, we're freaking quoting people over here. Wow.
I don't have to do that swear jar.
No, you don't. I do. You can, because you're a free agent. You can do whatever you like. Sorry. Gosh dang, I just want to like, never mind. So chemtrails. Anyway. Yeah! Hey, man. Guys, I said this 45 minutes ago. I love you. Thank you for talking movies with us. And
Flat Earth.
Goodbye, guys. Lots and lots of love.
Thanks,
for
dudes.
next time, we'll talk to you. We'll join the Discord. Exclamation point Discord.
It's gonna be 5 easy pieces. That's gonna be one.
Yeah, definitely gonna be one of them. Discord. Join the Discord. You fucking
You fucking flat earthers.
You freaking flat. For next time. We'll watch the movies. I will put it in the Discord. I'll put it on Twitter. You can follow the Twitter here if you want. Not for me to get more followers, but that's where I update stuff. Give me more followers, fine. I'm sure I can cash them in at the Twitter follower bank, where I stand in line and go, I have this many Twitter followers, and someone punches me in the face and goes, shut up and never say that again. But Twitter is where I update what's happening with the stream. Usually it's like, I'm running 25 minutes late because I'm pooping. So let's go fly a kite, man. Thank you so much to Jeff Ray. Do you have things that you would like them to follow or see or
I would say
check
I'm on
out?
Twitter, but I am, but I've never used it, so that's not.
Oh, you should.
I know.
Oh, you should.
Oh, but I see everyone who does use it, and they just get in trouble.
Yeah,
so
they're
I'm
all
like,
terrible. Yeah, exactly. And I was entirely. I was joking about you using Twitter. Because I know what you think about stuff, and you're going to get fired. No, but like your website, Jeff Ray Shoots You?
JeffRayShootsYou.com is my website.
He's going to shoot you in the leg, and he's going to, like, I told you.
Yeah, that's
you
probably.
saw it coming.
That's where you can see work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff?
I don't really have an online
Ray
presence.
Shoots You. Go follow his Insta.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Is that it, Allie? I mean, is that it, Jeff? Did
Yes.
Allie get it right?
Yes.
Twitter says the Twitter logo is not a bird and to not depict it as a bird. That's a load of crap. All right, we're going to spend 2 more hours on this. That's a load of crap. It is definitely a bird. And Twitter, though they provide a service, can just shut up about it because it's a bird. Don't quote me. All right, so we'll probably watch 5 Easy Pieces and something else. And also for next time, think about a movie that means more to you because you feel like you're alone in liking it, in loving it. And 2 things are going to happen. Either one, you're going to say it. Oh my gosh. Well,
I'll see you later.
No, man. No. Hey, man, there are good parts of barbed wire that I saw when I was a kid.
There's not.
No, I mean like.
Oh, I know what you mean, buddy.
It's when I was a kid, so it's not misogynistic. I'm sorry. Gosh darn it, I'm wrong. I'm wrong to say what I said. Now it's just a head and shoulder silhouette. Wait, what's happening? Oh, Gremlins. Artifact is fake. No, gosh. An egg is a. We're talking about Twitter. So think about a movie. Anyway, whatever. This is all, yes. Green, thanks for sticking around even though the stream crashed. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. My computer broke. I don't know if I can stream console games anymore. I don't know if I have a webcam anymore. But for crying out loud, we talked about 3 landmark movies and...
Dude, we got it all.
Yeah, all of it.
About 3 movies.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. Even has a name. Its name is Larry. I don't know what's going on. All right, guys. Lots of love. Jeff's gonna pee. We're gonna raid somebody. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. I love doing this, and thank you for being here. Graduate, Easy Rider, and Bonnie and Clyde. Let's see. Who's on? Who's on? Who's on? Who's on? Who's on? Who is on? On. Thanks for the stream. Absolutely. Thank you for the stream, guys. Thank you for the stream. Here we go. Get Josh at you. Go get Josh at you.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Yep. Oh, hey. You guys are just seeing behind the curtain, literally. Slash right in it. It sure is. Aye, fam, it is. Aye. I've heard vape that he talks just like this. Yep. That's slander what it is right now. That's slander, isn't it, what I'm saying right now? Slash raid. Yep. Also, Heath, thank you for the makeup job today. Heath had a makeup gig and couldn't do it because he was otherwise engaged. Passed it along to me, and I got turned into a monster. And I'll show you some pictures sometime. Lots of love, guys. Thank you for being here so much. I can't tell you how happy it makes me to talk about movies that I love with you. Go get your Josh at you. Oh, we've got some time. Now we'll do The Graduate. Yeah, exactly, Hazard. Plastics. See ya!